across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
There you are. What a day. Welcome to Drive Time right here on Talk. I'm Kevin O'Sullivan and I'll be your host for 3 thrilling hours of news, views and topical debate all the way to 7 o'clock. Get on the show, get on the phone and call me on 0344 499 1000, or you can WhatsApp voice note me on the same number and I promise to play your message out. There's such a lot to talk about today, as you may well be aware. It is Thursday, May the 14th. Here's what's coming up. Here we go, folks. Little West Streeting finally plucks up the courage to challenge doomed leader Starmer after Angela Rayner announced with suspiciously convenient timing that she's been cleared by HMRC of deliberately dodging 40 grand's worth of stamp duty on her thoroughly working-class second home by the seaside in well-to-do Hove. Word is that Champagne socialist Rayner was cleared 2 months ago, but she's been saving her good news for a rainy day, as in today, as she sticks the knife fully into Starmer and opens the floodgates for a leadership battle that will be like a free-for-all. Look out, folks. Prime Minister Angela Rayner just became less of a sick joke and more of a terrifying, very real prospect. Not as terrifying, of course, as crazy Ed Miliband taking over to wreck the country on the altar of his mad nut zero insanity. That, too, is in the offing, with Looney Tunes set to throw his hat into the ring along with self-styled King of the North, Andy Burnham, another far-left maniac with a less than convincing claim to competence. When bungling Burnham was Gordon Brown's health secretary, he was a disaster. Perhaps Andy and Wes can compare notes. Talking of health secretaries right now, we don't have one. Of course, Wes Streeting resigned this morning to mount his challenge. And as per, Starmer looks like a fox caught in the headlights, stunned into inactivity. But extraordinarily, it looks as if he's getting the old band back together. Morgan McSweeney, the guy who had to quit as chief of Downing Street staff just, what was it, a couple of months ago, is back helping his old mate Starmer in his hour of need. Good luck with that, Morgan. But what a shambles. What a mess. Meanwhile, while all of this lot are infighting, the country is not being governed. As I just said, we don't have a health secretary. He's not even moving to appoint one. He's fighting for his survival. All these others are on manoeuvres, ready to strike, and we have a country in paralysis because of this useless lot, this Labour government. What a disaster, what a catastrophe they are. What the hell have they done to this country? Bunch of bloody losers. 0344 499 1000. Throughout the show, we'll be talking to experts, political pundits, politicians to get their take on the extraordinary psychodrama unfolding in Downing Street as we speak. More resignations expected, perhaps during this show. All that and so much more, so don't go anywhere. Stick with me right here, right now on Talk, the home of free speech and common sense. Let's spend Thursday afternoon together, and what a Thursday afternoon it is. Let's go straight over to my first guest, the excellent international editor of Talk, Isabel Oakeshott. Well, Isabel, it's started, it's happening. So far, only Wes Streeting has resigned. He's delivered a 900-word-plus letter to Starmer outlining everything that Starmer has been doing wrong. I'm surprised he managed to squeeze that into 900 words. I'd need War and Peace to get it all in. Angela Rayner, we're hearing, when I read this morning, oh, it's amazing, she's been cleared by HMRC just in the nick of time. I'm thinking, hang on a second. And then handily, there's a big interview in The Guardian. And she's had time to squeeze in an interview with Paul Brand at ITV. Well, the word is she was cleared 2 months ago And she's been, I mean, that is not confirmed, but it strikes me there's a lot of veracity to this tale. And she's been saving her exoneration for a rainy day, as in today. So she's on manoeuvres. Meanwhile, Andy Burnham's presumably on some bus or train somewhere saying, I've got my safe constituency and I've got my path to Westminster all sorted out. And you want to go, oh, shut up, Burnham, will you damn fool. But we have a confederacy of dunces now, all fighting for the top job. Keir Starmer surely finished, but what a psychodrama. I mean, you've been around Westminster a while. Ever seen anything like this?
No, so, we political journalists spend a lot of time making bad political predictions. It's such a difficult job, really. And, you try to sort of war game what might have happened. It didn't really occur to me, and I don't think anyone else predicted, that Wes Streeting would simply resign as a cabinet minister, resign from the front bench, but not trigger a leadership contest. That is novel. Stepping out and saying, yeah, I've told everybody that I want to run for the top job. I think I could be a great prime minister. Now I'm resigning from the cabinet, but I'm not triggering a contest. And his people are saying it's not because he doesn't have the required 80 plus names to do it. It's because he wants as many people to be involved in the contest as possible. All very strange. But you've now got the possibility that no contest, or that the contest takes months and months and months, because there is some kind of agreement amongst the big beasts that the contest won't really be valid and durable and lasting unless Andy Burnham is allowed to take part. And that is a whole other thing. It's going to take ages for him to get a parliamentary seat. It's not even, no seat could be regarded as totally dead cert. Absolutely, he will 100% guaranteed be to win it. So how long is this going to go on? I mean, are we going to have this kind of shambles till next September, in which case you could get some very interesting thing going on economically with the markets?
There's a guy called Stephen Flynn. He's the MP, the Labour MP for Aberdeen. So he's an SMP for Aberdeen South. He's just quit, but I don't suppose that will work, will it? Because Burnham has to get into Parliament, not Holyrood, so that doesn't work. And I'm getting, every single day, Burnham's Team Burnham announces, yep, it's all in place. We've got a safe seat. He's going to walk into there, and his path to Westminster is clear. He'll be in a few weeks, just 3 or 4 weeks. There's an awful lot of taking for granted in that statement, but he says it every day. The more he says it, the less I believe it. And in terms of Wes Streeting, I would say this is a clear case of Wes does not have enough MPs to mount an official challenge, because you need 81 MP supporters. I bet he hasn't got 81, but he's backed himself into such a corner he's had to quit. Presumably Angela Rayner. I mean, but don't forget, Streeting's resignation letter here. I've got it. It's quite heavy. It's so long. That is just one long diatribe against the shambles, the awfulness of Starmer's government.
Yeah.
And Rayner's been exactly the same. So they must be ready to strike. But I would suggest that Streeting's problem is he hasn't got enough MPs to back him, so he can't. He technically can't.
I mean, this is the weirdest situation that I think I've ever covered, really, because you've got this kind of not universal acknowledgement that Keir Starmer can't go on, but you've got pretty much universal acknowledgement that he can't lead the party into the next election. I mean, there are a few diehards that might think, against all the data, that it would be a good idea for him to lead the party into the next election. But you've got quite a number of union figures, trade union figures, coming out and saying he can't go on. I mean, generally that would be pretty unsustainable for a Labour Prime Minister. You've got all those MPs, the backbenchers, that have said, we don't believe him anymore, that he's the right person to lead our party. You've got multiple ministerial resignations, and yet you don't have yet a challenger. So, Keir Starmer's not going voluntarily. He's made that amply clear. Is it possible that he kind of staggers on for another few months and then is inevitably ousted eventually. I mean, all of this is an absolute gift for opposition parties. You know, all it's doing is creating a zombie government. I don't know how they're going to be able to get any legislation through. Anything that's remotely controversial is going to become a kind of people falling into their different camps as to who they might back when the leadership contest comes. It's going to be impossible to get any business, meaningful business done unless it's business that the entire party can unite on.
Exactly right. Well, to be more serious about Andy Burnham, the MP for Rusholme in Manchester Rusholme, a guy called Afzal Khan, he is said to be ready to stand aside for Andy to waltz in, take that constituency and then head for Parliament, where he will mount his challenge. As I say, there's an awful lot of taking for granted here. There's every chance that if Burnham, by the way, King of the North, Colossus, the Colossus we need, he hasn't got much of a track record. His only real ministerial experience was when he was Gordon Brown's health secretary, and by all accounts he was an absolute disaster. As I said in my monologue, perhaps him and West Streeting could compare notes. Yeah, who was the worst health secretary? It'd be a close run thing, I would imagine. So he's assuming that he wins this by-election at Rusholme, perhaps Manchester Rusholme, and then he's also assuming that when he quits the mayoralty in Manchester, that he will be replaced by a Labour candidate. Well, I would say there's every chance a Reform UK candidate might be ready to swan into that job. So Burnham looks to me to be a catastrophe waiting to happen, potentially.
Well, it's absolutely true that Reform would be very interested in the Manchester mayoralty. I mean, the idea that Andy, I think you and I, one of the shows yesterday, we were talking about this, the idea that Andy has turned Manchester into a kind of model city of modernity and safety and prosperity is nonsense, and anyone can see that if they visit the place or are unfortunate enough to have to live with the crime and dreadful homelessness and so on. So there will be plenty of voters in Manchester that might want a different party to run the place. Then if you think about a by-election, I mean, that's a 6-week campaign normally. There are a load of technicalities with by-elections, and sort of notice has to be given by the MP that's resigning. All sorts of kind of decrees have to be laid. So you're talking as basically a 6-week process. I'm not sure it can be accelerated much more than that, maybe into 5 weeks or something. So is everybody going to hold off the leadership contest getting started until, just waiting for Andy Burnham to hopefully, from his point of view, win a by-election? Or is the leadership contest going to start without him? I mean, what a total and utter shambles.
It's a shambles. It's an absolute clown show.
Is he going to try and run two things at once? Is he going to try and run a by-election campaign?
Well, I've got some breaking news for you. You're going to love this. I mean, will this Labour lot, will you stop trying to carve the country up? We have a thing called democracy. So apparently Sky News are reporting that their latest plan is that Andy Burnham swans into Manchester Rusholme, where the constituents will be expected to obey, do what they're told, and vote for him. And guess who they're planning to parachute in as Manchester Mayor? The soccer pundit, former Manchester United star Gary Neville.
Oh, what? Are you serious?
I am serious. That's what Sky News is saying.
Oh, my God.
But it's like, stop carving this country up. What about the people? Can we have a say in this? There is a thing called democracy. What do these people think they are? Who do they think they are?
I mean, and this is actually the peril, isn't it? Because there could be quite a successful opposition campaign that is run around the whole who do they think they are thing. Passing big jobs around as if they're pass the parcel, or shiny baubles on a Christmas tree that you just hang in a little bit of a different place on the tree, but you still own the tree. This isn't how it should work. And I think voters tend to take a pretty dim view of entitlement of that sort.
That's what it is. It's entitlement. That's exactly.
It's entitlement. Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, and I think
very messy.
A quick word from you. One of the contenders, of course, we're now horror of horrors. As I said in my monologue, there are two terrifying prospects that just got real, folks. One is Prime Minister Angela Rayner, and the other is her left-wing rival now, I guess, Ed Miliband. Ed Miliband today has vowed a permanent shutdown to the North Sea energy reserves, which will make it virtually impossible for future governments to drill and explore and to exploit those reserves, those oil and gas reserves. This reminds me of when the Tories decided that fracking was going to cause earthquakes and was bad for the environment. And instead of just saying, no, we're not going to frack, they went round pouring concrete down all the fracking shafts.
Yeah.
So it's vandalism for the future. This man, Miliband, of all the contenders, he's the one that terrifies me the most, and I don't say that lightly because I'm pretty terrified by all of them.
Well, I mean, Reformers said that they would reverse all of that. Reform wants to embrace fracking. Reform wants to embrace oil and gas. So there would be that prospect if people voted for it whenever eventually they might get the opportunity to. But the thing is that an Ed Miliband or Angela Rayner could do a great deal of damage in a great deal more damage in a short time. It's worth remembering that Andy Burnham, I actually disagree with. He wasn't a disastrous health secretary. I mean, the NHS was actually in better shape under Labour, probably because the population hadn't risen by multiple millions at the time that Andy Burnham was health secretary. But he also had a brief and very unsuccessful stint as chief secretary to the Treasury. A job that he absolutely hated because he just couldn't get his head around the numbers. So that may not
Great. Well, he's the man to be Prime Minister.
Throwing that in there.
He's the guy. He's also the guy that thinks that we shouldn't be in hock to the bond markets. Too many Labour. Right. Diane Abbott thinks that as well. And let's ignore the bond markets. No, Andy. Yeah. Andy, that just is not possible.
That's like me saying. Well, I don't think we should be under grey skies in Britain.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Not something you can change.
A last question to you, Isabel, to change the topic just briefly. Nigel Farage, of course, under fire for this £5 million gift he took from the Bitcoin billionaire Christopher Harborne. This was before he became an MP, but apparently was within the 1 year boundary of becoming an MP. So anything you receive, any business deals you do within a year of becoming an MP, you're supposed to declare. So critics of Farage say, well, he should have declared it. Now, he has given an interview to our Harry Cole. Harry will join me later. He's saying, I am not and have never been a crook. What's your take on this? The first thing the main thing I think about this, I don't think it's Farage's finest hour. People do not like to see people getting gifts of £5 million. It makes them jealous. Fiscal jealousy is a powerful force among British voters. That notwithstanding, I don't think he's done much wrong. But the point is, people knew about this £5 million gift before the local elections last Thursday. I don't think it's going to damage Farage much. I think he will continue to rise, and people are not that bothered by this. What's your take on it?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly right. The voters had their opportunity to say that they disapproved and they thought that it undid everything that he stands for, and they did precisely the opposite. They voted for more Nigel Farage. They voted for more reform. I mean, I'm exercised by how this information was obtained. We could have a debate about whether he should or he shouldn't have declared it, and there's an argument that it would have been easier for him if he just put it out there ages ago and been open that it was for his security, etc. And many people would have been sympathetic with that. But equally, he regarded it as a private matter. And somebody broke into private information to get this. I would love to know how that happened. Were hackers involved? Were foreign hackers involved? Who paid who what to get that information? You know, all politicians, all of us in the public eye should be very afraid of this sort of thing. Not that, I mean, not many people have got £5 million gifts to keep private, but anyone's private information being hacked into like this, if that's what happened, is pretty concerning. And things like this are only going to get worse, I think.
I'm going to have to go now, Isabel. We're going to put this question out. I sent my tweet to you earlier, but I'm going to put this to the audience. Here's my question. On the same, basically, Angela Rayner gets cleared. Nigel Farage gets investigating. Is this the left-wing establishment in all its corrupt glory? What do you think? 03444991000. Big thank you to Isabel Oakeshott, Talks International editor. Next up, we're going to talk to the deputy political editor of The Sun on a very busy day for him, Ryan Sabey. That next. Stay tuned.
Breaking news this morning revealed that under the Terrorist Act, 242 people were arrested in the year to June of this year.
That's something you can indulge in as to all the people who aren't going to prison because, well, there's no prison spaces.
So this is a Talk exclusive we've been looking at.
I said, you take these cuffs off me and speak to me like a human being rather than a common criminal.
You're just left wondering, does these people who lead us actually hate Britain? Yeah. Do they not love our country and everything that we've stood for?
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back on a day of psychodrama in Westminster. Let's go over to Westminster to talk to the Deputy Political Editor of The Sun, Ryan Sabey. Hello, Ryan. Are you in Hogwarts? I know you're on the roof of the Commons, is that?
I found a turret somewhere at the back of Westminster to talk to you. So it's been a day of high drama, let me tell you.
Yeah, I can imagine. I'm just going through West Streeting's resignation letter, more than 900 words. He doesn't hold back, does he? He says, there are all good reasons, but as you know from our conversation earlier this week, having lost confidence in your leadership, I have concluded that it would be dishonourable and unprincipled to do so. And he goes on to say later, there are many good reasons we could point to, from individual mistakes on policy like the decision to cut the winter fuel allowance to the island of strangers speech, all of which have left the country not knowing who we are or what we really stand for. So he really doesn't hold back. Ryan, why then has he not actually officially challenged for the leadership? He's resigned, but he hasn't launched his official challenge. Would that be because he hasn't got the requisite 81 MPs to support him?
I think the very, very first rule of politics is that you need to be able to count, and you need to be able to count how many supporters and how many backers that you have. And I think what West Streeting didn't have was that number, as you say, the requisite number, those 81. Now, word going around that he had somewhere between 30, maybe somewhere in the 40s of MP backers. Now, that isn't isn't enough. Now, was all the machinations over the last few weeks of cabinet ministers going into Downing Street to tell Sir Keir Starmer to leave, or at least set out a timetable? Was it the Wes allies actually trying to get them to do his dirty work? Is it the case that he never did have the numbers and was never really going to get over the line? Because I think when you boil it down, whoever Wes Streeting stood against, if it was someone from what we call the soft left of the Labour Party, whether that's an Andy Burnham, an Angela Rayner, an Ed Miliband, that other person was always likely to win. So he's in a very, very difficult position, and his letter there almost seems like he's open to some kind of deal with someone on the soft left, whether that's Andy Burnham or someone else.
Indeed, and it's one long criticism of Keir Starmer. Meanwhile, of course, this dramatic development this morning, Angela Rayner, another contender, suddenly announcing, hey, my HMRC problems are over, I've been cleared, in a feat of extremely suspicious timing. We're hearing, and now this is not confirmed, but the word is that Angela Rayner was cleared about 2 months ago, but she's been saving this to drop it like a nuclear bomb when she thinks the time is right. This was a pretty nuclear moment to drop that bomb, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, it was perfectly timed to, it gives her a way into the leadership contest if she wants it. So I think she'd been weighing up when to do this announcement, when to tell everyone. And it was nicely timed for 6 a.m. in the morning when the Prime Minister was facing a pretty difficult time, and lots of people were working out when those leadership contenders were actually going to push for a challenge. And Wes Streeting has gone by the wayside. I think Angela Rayner is waiting at the moment to see what Andy Burnham's next move is, because I think she is willing to fill that gap if Andy Burnham can't get back to Westminster.
Now, this is just breaking news. You probably already heard it, Ryan, but reports are suggesting that number 10 is trying to convince Angela Rayner to return to the cabinet to replace Wes Streeting as health secretary. I mean, it's a neat little story. If this is true, I can't see her accepting that. Can you?
I think it'd be very, very difficult. I think you look at the words from Angela Rayner over the weekend when she talks about Labour having its last chance and being pretty scathing about the Prime Minister and the direction of his government. You do wonder whether she would take that job. But Keir Starmer, all the way through, even since she lost her job last September over the tax affairs, he has said that he'd want to welcome her back at some time into government. So, he wants her back. Whether Angela Rayner would accept it under its current management, let's see. It could. This leadership contest could be dragged out over several months. It might be a decent staging post for her to launch a leadership contest somewhere down the line.
We're also hearing, Andy Burnham, he keeps announcing, yeah, I've got my safe seat ready and my path to Westminster is clear. Well, it's never going to be that easy. There's a story going around right now, quite a good story for you. Sky News reporting that to replace him as Manchester Mayor, Labour are lining up Gary Neville, the Labour-supporting soccer pundit, former Man United star. So he'd probably win that election. It wouldn't be a bad move by them. But Andy Burnham, we understand, is being sort of lined up to take over the Manchester-Rusholme constituency, taking over from a guy called Askar Khan. Now, Manchester-Rusholme, by the way, I'm indebted to my viewer, audience member, James. He sent me this in. No reason to believe this isn't true. He says, Manchester-Rusholme has a majority of 8,000 with a voting population of 72,000. Last time round, there was only a 40% turnout. James says, I think there's plenty of chance of the public being very annoyed at this apparent procession and putting a spanner in the works. He's got a point, hasn't he? I mean, an 8,000 majority with the mood of the country expressed at the local elections last week, that isn't a foregone conclusion that Burnham would win that, is it?
No, absolutely not. I mean, the one thing going for Andy Burnham is he's got huge personal appeal in Manchester. But when you come to a by-election, the Reform Party, the Green Party, they are going to throw the kitchen sink at that by-election. And when you've got three parties going for it, a lot of it will come down to the campaign turnout on the day. There'll be some mishaps along the way in that campaign. So there is by no means a foregone conclusion that Andy Burnham would find his way back into Westminster. And there's all this talk about how the timetable for the next leader should work on the basis that Andy Burnham wins that parliamentary seat. There's absolutely no guarantee of that. And at the same time, over the coming months, this country could be in complete paralysis. A government who can't really get anything done because there's all uncertainty, effectively a phony leadership contest going on. It's not good for the rest of the country. It
certainly isn't, Ryan, but you've got a busy day. I better let you get back to your desk and your phone. Thank you very much for your time. Good to talk to you. That's Ryan Sabey, the Deputy Political Editor at The Sun. As he said, it is all going on down in Westminster. Now, listen, give me a call. All of this sort of like, Andy Burnham will go into Manchester-Rusholme, then he'll go to Westminster and take over as Prime Minister. Then we're going to put Gary Neville in as editor, or rather the Mayor of Manchester. I mean, what about democracy? What about the people? What do you think about this Labour lot carving up the country as if we don't matter? If you're particularly from Manchester-Rusholme, how do you feel about this? That the Labour government, that Andy Burnham and his mob are expecting you to do what you're told and vote for Burnham, so that he can expedite his plan to get back to Westminster and take over as Prime Minister. Meanwhile, Gary Neville will be parachuted in as the Mayor of Manchester. How do you feel about this? They're taking us for granted. If you're from Manchester-Rusholme, love to hear from you. 0344 499 1000. We're going to take a break from the political story next because we need to talk about these two massive, if you like, dueling protests in London on Saturday. That will be the Unite the Kingdom, the right-wing demos, the protesters, and also the pro-Palestine lot as well. So there's these two huge demos going on. We're going to talk about the policing of them. The police are talking about facial recognition cameras and also using armoured vehicles. So they're gearing up for a busy day. We'll talk to Peter Blexley, former Met Police detective, about this next. Stay tuned.
across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Let's talk about the Saturday in London. It's going to be quite a day. There are two major protests going on. One is by the Unite the Kingdom organisation. Tommy Robinson is, one of the movers and shakers there. Unfair, though, just to link the entire event to him. There's a lot of different factions that go. They're the right of centre people, of course. They're the kind of people that Keir Starmer calls far right. He calls anyone who doesn't vote Labour far right. That's unfair. Meanwhile, there's going to be a big pro-Palestine demonstration as well, the usual. So they'll be separated out. The police are talking about some very heavy tactics. First of all, they use facial recognition cameras to sort out troublemakers, that kind of thing, potential future prosecutions. Also, they're going to bring in armoured police cars, those kind of things we used to see in Northern Ireland. So it could be quite a spectacle. We were worried about two-tier policing because the woke Met police have a track record for going a lot easier on the lefties than they do on the right-wingers. Let's talk to former Met Police Detective Peter Blexley. Hello, Peter.
Good afternoon.
We're worried about two-tier policing. Obviously both these protests do have to be properly policed. It's going to be a hell of a job for the cops, 4,000 being called in off duty from around the country to police these massive demonstrations. There's this track record that the police around the country, particularly the Met Police, all woke. They tend to go a lot easier on the left-wingers than they do on the right-wingers. So you're wondering, let's hope they don't two-tier police these two protests on Saturday. And what do we learn today? They're going to be using facial recognition technology to seek out the troublemakers. They're also going to be using armoured police vehicles. Well, that's fair enough. The facial recognition technology, the cameras, will only be used at the right-wing demonstration, not on the pro-Palestinian demonstrators. It's two-tier policing again. They don't even bother to hide it, do they?
OK, let me just clarify something on the facial recognition aspect of this. The Met are only going to deploy facial recognition cameras in the borough of Camden. So that, of course, will cover Camden Town, possibly Euston Station, King's Cross Station. And facial recognition is used to identify people who are wanted. And that is all it is used for. It is not like CCTV. It's not going to go randomly searching for people and retain their images. It is only for wanted persons. Now, there is some sort of muster point from Unite the Right at Camden, so I think it's understandable that there are already allegations of two-tier policing. However, on Saturday, we get the greatest opportunity to see whether the Metropolitan Police do actually police fairly, impartially, without fear and without favour. This will be their biggest test ever as to whether they police for all or whether they show favour to particular groups.
Already Keir Starmer, that guy who's in a bit of trouble at the moment, he sort of set the tone by banning 7 alleged far-right foreign agitators from entering Britain to partake in the Unite the Kingdom demonstration. But I haven't seen that he's banned any far-left agitators from coming in to join the pro-Palestine demonstration. So there is always this undertone, isn't there, that the right-wingers get a harder time than the left-wingers. And as you say, Peter, I hope the police have chimed in with that in the past. I hope they don't do it on Saturday.
Starmer has been deliberately provocative in banning a number of speakers who would have joined the Unite the Kingdom and the Unite the West march. He's banned them from entering the UK. He is provoking people. And of course, tensions are already running high on social media about these inappropriate, heavy-handed bans. But Tommy Robinson himself has, I believe, on this occasion, very maturely, very responsibly, and very sensibly said, look, no masks, no violence, behave yourself. Let's just show what people who oppose Starmer think about pride in their nation, how they take to the street in huge numbers. And I can pretty much guarantee that nobody from the United Kingdom march will be chanting a genocidal chant calling for the entire obliteration of people of a particular faith.
That's a good point, Peter, and that's what we'd like to see as well. We would like to see, in fact, I think we demand to see the police beginning at long last to arrest people who chant things like from the river to the sea, who chant jihad, who carry illegal... These are all hate crimes. I'm not a fan of hate crimes, but they are a reality. And these people are breaking the law and therefore should be arrested. But what we know, time in, time out, these pro-Palestine marches, the cops just stand there and look and watch and let these people break the law, let these people stage their genocidal chants because they say, oh, we're keeping the peace, we don't want to cause trouble. Well, it's time that they didn't. As you quite rightly say, there'll be no chanting from the right-wingers calling for the death of whole sections of the human race. But there will be from the lefty pro-Palestine lot. And it's about time the police started feeling their collars, isn't it?
Well, the Prime Minister of Paralysis government himself, Mr. Keir Starmer, Sir Keir Starmer, has in recent weeks already begun slowly to express concerns about chants such as globalise the intifada, which is, of course, a call for global war upon people of the Jewish faith, obliteration of them, indeed. So if anybody opens their mouth and spews that bile on Saturday, then I hope the police are proactive, that they're robust, that they are swift, and that they make the necessary arrests. I have absolutely no qualms about repeating again, this is the biggest test to date about the Metropolitan Police and the officers that they've drafted in. Is it one rule for one and one rule for another? Or are the police there to police without fear or favour, impartially? And let's just see, it's going to be a really, really interesting test. And I sincerely hope that peace reigns and the police are fair and impartial.
I'll tell you what, there could be some serious trouble, Pete, because I'm thinking of going myself. But that notwithstanding, now I don't want to go too hard on the coppers yesterday who were policing the procession of the King to the state opening of Parliament in his gilded golden carriage. But he went past this shower of maniac pro-Palestine lunatics who were breaking the law left, right and centre. I just want to play you this and get your take.
To the King Charles.
As I say, I don't want to get too hard on those coppers that they seriously had their hands filled with those seething mad people. But you know, you heard it there, from the river to the sea. They're chanting jihad. That's against the law. The police have got to get to the point where they just arrest these people, prosecute them and send them to jail. Then they'll stop it.
It is indisputable that the Gaza Strip needs rebuilding. I'm sure many people would be willing to donate funds to get these people onto an aeroplane with their buckets, their spades, their cement, their sand, and get them out there and get them being a part of the active rebuilding programme. I would stick my hand quite deep into my pocket just to contribute.
Me too, Pete. Thanks very much for coming on. Great to talk to you as always. The great Peter Bleksley there, former Met Police detective. Let me know what you think. Mostly we're talking about politics today, but Saturday is going to be a key moment, as Peter says, in police history. Are they going to start arresting these pro-Palestine maniacs for their illegal chants, their anti-Semitic Jew hate illegal chants? Are they or are they not? 03444991000. Next up, we'll talk to the excellent political editor of The Independent, David Maddox. Stay tuned.
The offer to be the voice of a sheep.
Yes, you can only dream, really.
Kelly Riley and Cole Hauser. Well, how much of Rip does your husband in real life have about him?
I mean, yeah. I mean, he's mad.
He's Kirsty and Phil.
Can we talk about one other thing?
We can talk about loads of things. It's an interview.
Wake up, it's a beautiful morning.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Let's go over to the political editor of The Independent, David Maddox. Welcome, David.
Hi, Kevin. How are you?
I'm okay. Are you having a busy day? I would imagine you are.
I'm having a busy week. It doesn't feel like... I don't think I've slept, actually, this week.
I shouldn't imagine that Keir Starmer's had much sleep either. I mean, what's your take? Well, what the hell is going on, basically, David? I mean, West Streeting has resigned, as we suspected. I don't think he ever had the requisite 81 MPs to support an official challenge to the Prime Minister. And in fact, Number 10 are now briefing that he only had 44 supporters. Other elements to discuss. Apparently, Morgan McSweeney has been seen going in and out of Number 10 all day, so he's back helping his old mate Keir Starmer. And the word is that Angela Rayner didn't miraculously get exonerated by HMRC today in the nick of time with suspicious perfect timing. She was exonerated 2 months ago, but she's been saving this good news for the right day, and today was it. Your thoughts on all of those elements and that whole psychodrama, really?
It's been a day of total chaos. I mean, we've got a government in complete limbo at the moment, completely powerless to do anything, no real leadership. We've got a fatally wounded Prime Minister who can't get his own agenda through. And, we've got a leadership contest with no actual contenders. It's just weird. I mean, obviously West Streeting couldn't get the requisite number. there's always kind of weird briefing that he doesn't think it would be right to have a contest without Andy Burnham. But I mean, it's the whole thing is mad. The markets are going mad. Everything is out of control. And, the one person who seems to be laughing at all this is Kemi Badenoch, who's having the time of her life.
Yeah, she was amazing. She has been amazing throughout this. Absolutely, annihilating Labour in PMQs. Actually, let's have a quick look at Kemi in fine form. Take it away, Kemi.
Why don't you just do your job? Do your job. There's no point in him giving me dirty looks. We all know what he's been up to. Or they don't agree with this agenda, in which case, what on earth are we all doing here? Oh, I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet. There is plenty more coming. There were 24 U-turns in that first parliamentary session. Winter fuel, family farms, grooming gangs, welfare reforms, social media for under-16s, day one workers' rights. The list goes on. And every single one of these U-turns had at its core a single issue: the Prime Minister's total lack of judgment. This is a man who, faced with a crisis of vision, charisma, and electoral success, sent for Gordon Brown. Banned from pubs, banned from hairdressers, which is presumably why all the women on the front bench have the same hairstyle.
I love the hairstyle thing. Now, cometh the hour, cometh a woman. I fear the Tories are pretty much a one-woman band, but she has been remarkable. And in those speeches, as I say, in fairness, that's a Conservative propaganda film, but it does encapsulate how she has nailed everything this government is doing wrong. And frankly, you can't say worse than this. This Labour government, as we sit here now, as we look at them now, they have seriously, catastrophically let this nation down, haven't they?
I mean, it's just bizarre. It's less than 2 years ago that they got in with an almost record majority, a massive majority. They're kind of basically able to do exactly what they wanted. There was no real opposition. The Conservative Party was completely wiped out. Reform just had a few MPs on the fringes, and it was, and somehow they have managed to completely drop the ball. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. I've been, in journalism now for quite some time, for a quarter of a century, and in Westminster for the last 16 years, and I've never seen anything like this. I've seen some strange things, but this lot, they lost control almost immediately.
Yeah, but it's like
never had any agenda or anything.
Exactly, David. You say they dropped the ball. It's almost as if they never picked the ball up. They waited 14 years. They were, chomping at the bit to get into power. They had no plan whatsoever, and then he just started making catastrophic mistakes, like cancelling the winter fuel allowance and farmers' inheritance tax, etc., etc. Now we're just looking at this smouldering wreckage of a government. And let me ask you this: I mean, it is quite an important office of state, isn't it? Health Secretary. We haven't got one now. No sign of the Prime Minister appointing one. Would you speculate, perhaps, that this is because he fears more cabinet resignations, that some more big names might be set to go?
Well, we were told last night that there were at least five ministers on resignation watch with Wes Streeting, but part of that was linked to whether Wes Streeting was going to launch a leadership bid or not. He hasn't, which may explain why others haven't resigned as of yet. But yes, I think there is an issue of other ministers possibly resigning. And Keir Starmer hasn't even replied yet to Wes Streeting. Unless something's dropped whilst I've come on.
He literally, as we speak, I've just been told he has replied and said,
"Has it just happened?"
I'm
I'm
very sorry you stepped down." And
it's been hours and hours waiting for it, and we're still waiting for replacement. There may be a wider reshuffle. We know he wanted to do that to take back control of his government, but whether he has the authority to do any sort of reshuffle or not seems to be.
Yeah, that's the point, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, it is a case now as has been said, he's in office but not in power, isn't he?
Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, I thought, again, Kemi Badenoch nailed that yesterday. And really, until there's a kind of timetable for him to go and for somebody to come in, we're not going to see anything from this government at all.
Yeah, and by the way, just before you go, to get back to your amazing exclusive about Peter Mandelson, the Mandelson files come out, don't they, next week, which will be yet more agony for Keir Starmer.
You'd have thought that he would have wanted to announce his resignation before that happens, because that's going to be very painful. They've been holding stuff back, which is going to be very embarrassing by all accounts, and it's just going to make matters much worse for
It's
him.
extraordinary to say that, isn't it? You think it's bad now for Keir Starmer. Next week it's going to get even worse. Unbelievable. David, great work on Mandelson. Great work generally covering the political scene. Great to talk to you. Thank you very much. David Maddox there, the political editor of The Independent. We're going to go to the news now, and when we come back, I'm going to talk to Ben Habib, leader of the Advance UK Party, get his take on all of what is going on and what the hell is going on. We'll find out next. Stay tuned.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. In a little while, Harry Cole, the Sun's editor-at-large, will join me. He's had an interview with Nigel Farage, but of course he's the former political editor of the Sun newspaper, and we would like to get his take on the extraordinary psychodrama unfolding before our very eyes. It's a story without end, but it's also a story that doesn't seem to have started, if you see what I mean. Oh my God, dramatic. The Health Secretary, West Streeting, has resigned. He's going to launch his challenge. Oh, wait a minute. He's resigned, but he's not launching his challenge. That's because he only had 44 supporters, apparently. So God knows what that's all about. Meanwhile, waiting in the wings, you got Angela Rainey, you got Ed Miliband, and loitering with intent, you got Andy Burnham in the north, apparently ready to swan into Manchester Rossholm take that constituency back into Westminster and then straight into number 10. Good luck with that, Andy. You're going to need it. Right, let's go over to my next guest. He is the leader of the Advanced UK Party, Ben Habib. Welcome, Ben.
Good afternoon, Kevin.
Well, let me just get your overview. I mean, if nothing else, I mean, this is for people like us, you know, political addicts. This is, you know, fantastic spectator sport, but we should not be that shallow. What is happening here is a disintegration of government. It is a failure of the Labour government's duty to govern this country, while they obsess on their own infighting, which is very hard to interpret. Nothing is getting done, and this country continues to go to hell in a handcart. Your take?
Well, you've summed it up precisely. And it's not the first time we've seen a government collapse in the way that Keir Starmer's government is collapsing. We saw it with Boris Johnson. And the two things that Keir Starmer's government and Boris Johnson's government have in common is that both people promised to do things for the people of this country, and both people didn't observe that promise. The political class has, for the last 30 years, and particularly in the last 10 or 20 years, stood in opposition to what the people keep inviting the political class to do. And without wishing to labour the point, the first time the British people really expressed their opinion firmly was in 2016, when they said, we wanted to leave the EU. We want our borders back up. We want British jobs for British people. We want domestic prosperity. We want laws made for our betterment, not other people's betterment. And what did the political class do? They slammed a door in the people's face. Theresa May fell. Boris Johnson then got elected. He promised he'd get Brexit done, but he made a blooming hash of it. With a withdrawal agreement, didn't get us out. The TCA didn't allow us to deregulate, put our British interests first, and he made a complete disaster, pig's ear of his government. And of course, as his popularity fell, the knives were out from the Conservative Party and they got rid of him. I know he did Partygate and all of that, but that was the excuse. The reality is he failed as a Prime Minister and he failed in government because he didn't do what the people asked of him. And of course, we had the massive Boris Wade. And then we have Keir Starmer, whose even worse form of political ideology, taking us closer to the EU, higher taxation, more welfare, more of the kind of government that we've had for the last 30 years, no borders, more mass migration, more indefinite leave to remain granted to people, asylum granted to people who've entered this country illegally, more cash wasted on France, Mandelson and all the rest of it. And the people are looking at him and his popularity's fallen and the Labour Party's popularity has fallen. But the Labour Party, just like the Conservative Party before it, hasn't come to terms with the fact that it's their philosophy, their ideology, their form of governance that needs to change if they wish to rescue their government.
Yeah.
It's not changing Starmer that's going to achieve anything. They need to change the way they're governing. And that the entire political class needs to learn that lesson.
Absolutely. And they're not listening. The results of the local election last Thursday sent a clear message that the people of this country didn't want to get closer to Europe. They want a massive crackdown on the migrant crisis.
Yeah.
They want the boat crisis to stop. And they don't want digital IDs. And what was all in the King's speech? We're going to get closer to Europe. We're not going to do anything about migration, and we're bringing in digital IDs, whether you like it or not. So this Prime Minister, hopefully we're seeing his last days, but he is deliberately ignoring the wishes of the people because he no longer serves the people. He is only interested in serving the left-wing Labour backbench MPs in whose hands his future lies. If he doesn't have their support, he will last even less time in number 10 Downing Street. I mean, he's a doomed animal anyway, but that's what he's doing. That's what he's doing.
The Labour Party's doomed. Look, this party won a 175-seat majority 2 years ago, less than 2 years ago. It's now polling at 17%. The Conservatives, who were in power before that, are polling at around 18%. The people are sick and tired of the way they're being governed. And of course, the biggest part of the electorate that's upset is the part that's just completely given up on the political class, who are not even voting. There's complete voter apathy because whatever they vote for, they put their hopes in Brexit, they were dashed. They put their hopes in Boris Johnson, they were dashed. They're now not voting. The Labour Party was 175-seat majority, but they got fewer votes in 2024 than 2019. Our entire political system is collapsing on the back of politicians not doing what they promise and what the people want. It's very simple. Do what the people want, and you will be popular.
Yeah, well, but you see, these socialists, this Labour government, and lots of the Liberal MPs in the sort of metropolitan elite MPs of all parties in Westminster, they believe it's their job to protect us, the Neanderthal masses, from our baser instincts. Oh, they want to crack down on migrants. Don't listen to them. Let's carry on doing what we're... Oh, they want to carry on Brexiting. No, they're wrong. It's for us to take us closer to Europe. It's a recipe for disaster. Let me take you through some of the movers and shakers on manoeuvres today. Doubtless poised to launch their bids for the leadership, and to get your take on the prospect of these people becoming Prime Minister. Well, first up, there's that woman with miraculous exoneration by HMRC with fantastic timing this morning. Word is, by the way, Ben, you probably heard this, but she was cleared 2 months ago. She's been saving this for the right moment. Well, let's have a quick look at Angela Rayner, very conveniently managing to do a very early interview this morning on the same day she got cleared by HMRC. Amazing coincidence. Here she is talking to ITV.
Can you just tell me what the decision was from HMRC as you understand it?
Well, I welcome HMRC's conclusion and they've said that there wasn't any wrongdoing and that I didn't try to avoid paying tax or I wasn't careless in the way in which I conducted myself. At the time when I was in government and this came to my attention that there could have been tax owed, I was really shocked about that because I'd taken advice and I've never wanted to avoid paying my tax. And for me, that was the most distressing thing, is that people felt that I was tax dodging or trying to set up trusts to avoid tax or being careless by not taking the appropriate advice, and HMRC have concluded that isn't the case.
Well, Ben, she will, of course, be publishing HMRC's exoneration of her. I don't think she's factored that in, but if she doesn't, she will not become Prime Minister. So we'll find out exactly how cleared she is by HMRC in the not-too-distant future if she launches her bid for the top job. But what would you feel about the prospect of Prime Minister Angela Rayner?
Well, I think you can guess what I would feel.
I just burst out laughing. Seriously, though, I mean, look, I'm always careful about this because if we say, oh, she's not fit to do it, it's as if we're saying, oh, she's a working class woman, hasn't got any qualifications and left school and's got a underage mother and all that stuff. But that isn't the point. That isn't why I object to the idea of Angela Rayner becoming Prime Minister. I think it would be great for someone like her to be a Labour Prime Minister. I think it would be fantastic to break the chain of all this Oxford private school crap. But I think that Angela Rayner does not have the intellectual bandwidth to be our Prime Minister. End of.
End of. And I just want to say, you know, I love the British working class, but there's a difference between Angela Rayner and the British working class.
She's elite. She's a Westminster elite.
That's it. She's not part of the working class. She may have come from the working class, but she's no longer part of it. And she's exploiting the system, just like every establishment shill. She's there exploiting the system. And this whole tax thing that she's got, perhaps it was all above board. We're going to find out if she publishes the advice.
She's going to have to publish it. I don't think she's factored that in, but she will have to publish HMRC's exoneration. Otherwise, perhaps we won't believe it. Let me take you to another candidate, possibly, and I don't say this lightly, even more terrifying than Angela Rayner, Crazy Ed Miliband.
Well, today he was in the Telegraph saying that he's going to shut down the North Sea completely. You know, the Straits of Hormuz are still closed. We're very exposed to what happens in the Straits of Hormuz because we are now increasingly importing liquefied natural gas from Qatar and other Middle Eastern locations. And he hasn't woken up to the fact that we wouldn't be threatened if we were exploiting the North Sea. They've all but killed the North Sea fossil fuel industry anyway, on the back of the cancellation or refusal to give licenses, and of course the massive taxation that they've burdened fossil fuel companies with. If you're BP, Exxon, whatever, why would you drill in the North Sea and pay 78% to the British government when you can drill in the Gulf of America or in in Saudi Arabia or wherever it is and pay no tax? It's absurd, isn't it?
Of course it is. Nothing he says makes any sense. He is a vandal attacking Britain's future. This is absolutely outrageous.
He really is.
He's a crazed ideologue, hooked on nut zero madness. And, he's probably terrifies me even more than Angela Rayner. And I don't say that lightly. Let's move on. Andy Burnham, we're hearing, is likely tonight to finally open his mouth and say something. Various reports suggesting he's going to put his head above the parapet and set out his path back to Westminster this evening. We understand that would involve running for a seat in Macclesfield.
I think someone's going to step down.
Which is the seat of Josh Simons, who will step down.
Andy Burnham, to behold and to listen to, looks and feels the part, doesn't he? We mustn't forget he's a classic Blairite, and the individual who did the most damage to the framework of this country was Blair. And Burnham offers us no hope, even though he looks and behaves and conducts himself in a way that is statesmanlike, rather like Blair. He will be very, very dangerous for this country.
I agree. And let me ask you about this. RIP democracy, this Labour lot, the way they're carving the country up to their own desires, as if the voters, you can take them for granted. They'll do what they're told. So apparently he will announce, or he is likely to announce, he's going to run for the seat in Macclesfield, which is in the northwest, which is the seat of Josh Simons, who recently quit because he was part of that Labour Together scandal, wasn't it? So he stepped down. So he's going to give up his seat so that Andy Burnham can swan in. By the way, Macclesfield has a Labour majority of 5,399. Now, I know that Reform UK are not perhaps your favourite party, but they are going to mobilise their troops. They're going to go hell for leather to scupper Andy, aren't they?
Yeah, 5,000 majority at the last election is the kind of majority that Reform, at least until recently, would find absolutely no difficulty in overturning. So it's going to be very interesting to see whether he can make it back. What they should have done, if they really wanted him, was to allow him to run.
Sorry to interrupt, Ben. That is a fact now. Josh Simons has now revealed on Twitter he is going to step down. That is where Andy Burnham will run for this seat. 5,399 majority after last week's performance by Reform UK in the local elections. Well, Andy, you expect to win. Good luck with that, because you're going to need it.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. They should have let him run in Gorton and Denton, actually.
Yeah.
And they would have either lanced that Boyle then, and he would have had his chance and Starmer would have been safe from Burnham, or Burnham would have got in. But this is this is an abuse, I think, which is what you were hinting at, Kevin, of the democratic system.
Yeah.
They're carving it up.
Well, let me give you another element of this carving up. So he's going to quit from, obviously, the Manchester mayoralty. So he'll stop being Manchester mayor. Guess who Labour are planning to parachute in for that? Gary Neville, the Labour supporting football pundit.
The open borders, Gary Neville.
Former Man United star. But my point about all of this is, how dare they? What about the people? They're just carving this all up as if, the people will do what they're told. I suspect that the people of Macclesfield might be very upset about this. British people do not like being taken for granted.
No, and this comes back to where we started our conversation, a sort of contempt by the establishment for the people of this country. They think democracy is democracy, they don't like it.
It's to be manipulated in their favour.
Controlled and made sure that, as you say, the Neanderthal man doesn't get his way. You know, and since we're on that, I just want to say one thing. This sort of 15th version of Starmer's attempt to reset his governance, you know, he made that speech earlier this week. You know, he couldn't help himself. He had to denounce the so-called far right, people like you and me. He had to just denounce us. We are much more in touch with where the British people are than he is. And he's basically saying the British people are far right. That's what Starmer's saying. If that's what he thinks, there's no chance of him improving his governance. It's not going to happen.
Absolutely. Well, listen, Ben, fascinating times. Maybe we'll get you on tomorrow. Let's see what happens. But thank you very much for your time. That is Ben Habib, the excellent leader of the Advance UK Party. Now, as just to recap that breaking news, Josh Simons, the MP for Macclesfield in the northwest, has said now officially that he will step down to make way for the Mayor of Greater Manchester, Andy Burnham, to return to Parliament. Now, I'm really, really keen to hear from anyone who lives in the Macclesfield constituency. Let me know what you think about the fact that Labour have got plans for you. You've got to, you are under orders if you live in Macclesfield. You've got to vote for this guy, this bloke, Andy Burnham, because that's the plan. You're a very important part of it, but you've got to do what you're told, OK? Vote for Burnham, otherwise the whole plan will get wrecked. How do you feel, if you live in Macclesfield, about being taken for granted like that? And what do you plan to do about Burnham? British people do not like this kind of thing. I don't like it. Do you like it? Generally speaking, just even if you don't live in Macclesfield. This is disgusting. This is just carving up democracy, manipulating democracy for their own purposes. Burnham, go to hell. Unbelievable. Also, they're going to parachute in, we understand, maybe Gary Neville to be the Mayor of Manchester, which would at least make watching football on Sky a little bit more entertaining because he'll be too busy to be on. But seriously, you know, this is not on, is it? And if it's not Neville, by the way, I think, to be fair, Gary Neville is a popular Manchester United footballer, a big figure in Manchester. I suspect he probably would do well in the necessary mayoral election now in Manchester. He probably would win it. But if it's not Neville, again, there's no guarantee that Burnham will quit to be replaced by a Labour candidate. The possibility is he quits Manchester as Manchester Mayor. Labour lose Manchester, he goes to Macclesfield and doesn't win that by-election. What is it about me that I just so wish that happens? Don't you? 03444991000, especially if you're from Macclesfield. Call me. You're being taken for granted. You're being taken for a mug. Burnham wants you to do what he tells you to do. Are you going to do it? 03444991000. We're going to go to break now, and when I come back, we're going to be joined by the fantastic editor-at-large at The Sun, Harry Cole. He's been talking to Nigel Farage, but I also need... he's a former political editor of The Sun. I want to get his take on the Westminster psychodrama. So Harry Cole next. Stay tuned.
brand new for 2026. It's going to be the only way to start your day. It's the home of common sense. It's where the nation can come to speak about the day's news. It's the Jeremy Kyle Breakfast Show. You know who you are. You get up, you graft, you work hard. I'm here for you. We want to hear your side. Promise you one thing. It is where the nation can and will come to talk. The Jeremy Kyle Breakfast Show, weekdays from 6 a.m.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Warning, Southerner at large. I've been saying Macclesfield. It's called Makerfield. We've got all these people ringing in from Macclesfield. Sorry. So the constituency that Andy Burnham is being parachuted into is Makerfield in the northwest. So if you're from Makerfield, for God's sake, get on the phone and let me know, because how are you feeling, because you're being taken for granted, if you ask me. And poor old Makerfield. I mean, they've got an MP called Josh Simons, who's basically quitting because he's mired in scandal. And now they're going to get this kind of stooge posted into them so that he can get to Westminster, allegedly, and become the Prime Minister. Democracy is being carved up, folks. But if you live in Makerfield, let me know what you think about all this. Very pleased to announce that in the studio is a very busy man today. He's the Sun's editor-at-large, Harry Cole. Hi, Harry.
Hello, what a day.
All right,
go ahead, punk. Makerfield my Makerfield my day.
Makerfield my day, yeah. I've been pronouncing it wrong, of course. But listen, I think I'm getting a lot of calls. People are fed up with this. They're feeling like this Labour lot. There's so much else to discuss, but let's just talk about Burnham for now. The democracy is being carved up as if it's the Labour Party's plaything.
Rooms, backroom deals.
Yeah. So Josh Simons, scandal hit. Poor people of Makerfield will step down. Burnham will be parachuted in. By the way, there's only a 5,399 majority.
Reform took some wards there in that seat.
Reform will be they'll be sending their tanks up there now, won't they? Meanwhile, we're hearing, Sky News is reporting that Gary Neville may be parachuted in to be the next mayor of Manchester, all of which could go spectacularly wrong. I mean, does Burnham realise that this is not a good look?
Well, it is on like Donkey Kong now. He's had to make a move. I mean, this was I think I said to you yesterday or the day before, or I said to our friend Jeremy Kyle. I've been on.
It was me.
Yeah, this ends. This
easy
week.
To confuse me with Jeremy Kyle. Yeah.
You've got better hair. Yeah. This ends. This had to end some way or the other this week. And you're right. You know what this feels like? It feels like that Keir Starmer's been given the good news, you know, and he's not going to stand in Burnham's way. And the fact that, you know, we saw earlier in the day with West Streeting's resignation that he said Burnham needs to be in the race. There's been a sort of gentleman's agreement behind the scenes here. And, you know, look, I'm not, you know, I've been around the block long enough to know that, you know, this is how kind of politics works, but no one really likes to see it. No one really likes to know how the sausages are really made. It's, you know, it's backroom trading, it's horse trading, it's counting, it's, you know, Lyndon B. Johnson, you know, first rule of politics, know how to count. But, you know, what is clear is that Wes didn't have the numbers to trigger the leadership
44
now.
apparently.
So he needed to bring in Burnham, and then Wes or whoever was, you know, ousted Starmer would never have been a legitimate Prime Minister unless Burnham had been allowed to run the race.
Yeah,
so you can kind of see what's going on. But then you just look at it and you think, who are these people?
That's my point.
And
who do you think you are?
Who voted for this? You know, you promised stability, growth, grown-up politics, a return to integrity, a return to ethics, a return to the democrat, you know, and the normal democratic process. This was meant to be boring. They promised us boring government.
It's not boring. I'll give it that.
And it's, you know, it made those Tory coups look like, precision military exercises. This has been going on for, coming on with more than a week since the Britain went to the polls. And instead of listening to what the people of Makerfield and lots of other places said, because Reform made big gains in that bit of Greater Manchester, it's they're probably going to get told off for calling it Greater Manchester, but that bit of the world, it's their response is to not just stare at their navels, but to insert their heads entirely in parts of their anatomy.
Up their own
and
backside.
It's like, come on,
Well, let's talk about this. The Makerfield. I now know how.
I
to
can see
pronounce
that
it,
the switchboard is actually.
I'm getting carried away with it. I'm saying it every 3 minutes now. I've got the pronunciation right. Seriously, the majority. That's a pretty low majority. 5,399. As I said earlier, Nigel Farage will be sending his tanks up there now. They're going to go.
It's got a compelling message as well. As you could block. I suspect Burnham will win it because actually, at the end of the day, people quite like having the Prime Minister in their own backyard and content to bring lots of benefits to the seat. But it's no way guaranteed. It is a small majority. Reform made big gains in Makerfield in that area last week at those said local elections. Look, this is going to be one hell of a summer.
It certainly is. Let's go.
It's going to ruin the football again. Because remember, the Euros was the general election, and now we're going to have the Labour leadership election playing out through a summer when all we want to do is not talk about politics and drink beer.
That's my mission in life. But so, what is the deal with West Streeting? Because Number 10 are now leaking that he only had 44 MPs to support him. So why did he's saying it was a matter of principle and he couldn't he had no more confidence in Starmer's leadership, but why has he done this? Why would you quit when you can't make a challenge?
He walks himself up the hill, and also
because he got himself into he
walks himself too far up the hill, and also a lot of his team quit. His bag carrier quit. His neighbouring MP quit, or they went over. They didn't necessarily quit, but they went over the top and called for the PM to go. So you're going to leave your supporters high and dry. He talks himself such as a corner. He walked up Downing Street yesterday. He flounced back out. Looking stern. We can see that footage right there on the screen now. He was in too deep. It's clear he didn't have the numbers, or he would have gone. And yet, so he had to do this. And frankly, it's no bad thing. And what a letter.
I know.
It's almost riffing off. It's riffing off of Margaret Thatcher's speech on the steps of Downing Street in 1979, when she said, "Where there's discord, may we bring harmony. Where there is this and that." And here's what I can't remember what it was. It's something like, where we needed stability, there's a vacuum. Where we needed boldness, there's whipple waffle. But it's actually
heavy. It's more than 900 words.
It's a good old letter, but there's a paragraph halfway through the second page which is like, oh, that's the kicker. Yeah. And that would have hurt. And actually, Starmer came back and said, I'm genuinely sad to hear that. But, that one was a kick in the nuts.
Yeah.
Here we go. I've got it. But where we need vision, we have vacuum. Where we need direction, we have drift. It's pretty scathing stuff. I mean,
there are many reasons we could point. He's saying there are many reasons we could point to, from individual mistakes on policy, like the decision to cut the winter fuel allowance, to the Island of Strangers speech, all of which have left the country not knowing who we are or what we really stand for. It sums it up, doesn't it? What are they for, this?
Well, exactly. He's hit the nail on the head, but then he also has sat around the cabinet table for the last 19 months. So, let's see. It's a really interesting day.
As Lorena, what's your take on that? But the word is that she actually got cleared by HMRC about 2 months ago.
She wasn't cleared. She wasn't cleared. She was made to pay the tax back. She did cock up her taxes. I think her spin has been really, really clever today, because it makes it look like she's some sort of saint. But she's now denying something that no one ever said that she did it. She said, everyone says she deliberately avoided tax knowingly. No one ever accused her of that. We just accused her of being an idiot who, because she is the housing secretary, and you think she would have checked her own housing, and she was given explicit advice to seek expert tax advice, which she didn't do. May not have been malicious, but it was still stupid, and she broke the ministerial code. Absolutely. Of course she had to go.
So, I've got bad news for her, because
she's on the phone.
No, but if she is to mount a challenge, I mean, it looks like she's on manoeuvres. And actually, if she is to go on and even be given a cabinet role by whoever takes over from Starmer, she is going to have to publish this exoneration by HMRC.
Of course
she keeps talking
of course
about.
she is.
And I suspect it won't be quite the clearing that she's
and it's quite clever because
she knows
that HMRC are unable to comment on individual tax cases, although they miraculously end up appearing in The Guardian from time to time. I suspect it would have been weapons-grade stupidity to have lied about this.
Yeah.
Because the truth does always out in these cases.
Weapons-grade stupidity. I think she's kind of capable of that, but let's move on.
It's a fairly sorry bunch of
it's just. Well, but meanwhile, just a quick word because I've got to get onto your Nigel Farage interview.
Yes. Other news today.
Yeah, we'll get onto that in just a second. But meanwhile, as I say, this is the most shocking abrogation of duty by this government. We are not being governed. We have a set of people in paralysis. Starmer has not replaced Streeting as Health Secretary because we feel, or there are fears, other Secretaries of State may resign soon. So he can't even do a reshuffle.
I mean, he is cooked now. This is now the West Streeting. You know, whether or not he'll trigger a challenge immediately.
Yeah.
You know, as West Streeting's letter said, you know, there's, and you walk out this building and down, and down, a mile and a half over to Westminster. There is no one there from the cabinet to the cabbies who think that Keir Starmer has any chance of fighting the next election. He will have to announce how.
From the cabinet to the cabbies, I'm nicking that.
You can have that.
Thank you very much.
You can have that. There is no one that thinks this guy is ever going to.
Oh, he's done.
He's gone by Christmas.
Last question on that psychodrama from all the contenders. Obviously, the Miliband's waiting in the wings, maybe Rayner, Burnham, of course. Who would you put your money on? I think I'd probably go for Burnham, but what about you?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got name recognition. But I'm old enough and ugly enough to remember the 2 other times that Andy Burnham has tried to be Prime Minister. When he lost to Ed Miliband, and then he lost to Jeremy Corbyn. I mean, this guy ain't,
he's not a political colossus.
Exactly.
But I just think that seems to be the direction.
And if they do need to make sure this doesn't, to neatly bring us back to your original point of Kevin, they need to make sure this doesn't look like an undemocratic stitch-up. But
it already does.
How you do that, I do not know. But
anyway, let's move on. You got the big one. You've spoken to Nigel Farage.
Yeah.
Nigel, the other big story on the move today is obviously that Nigel Farage, this was a story we've known about for a couple of weeks now, but he was given a £5 million cash gift by the Bitcoin billionaire Christopher Harborne, who's based in Thailand. Farage says this was a gift to help him pay for his own security. It was before he became an MP, therefore he doesn't feel he has any explanation to make. But there is now an official investigation, and you spoke to Farage earlier. We'll get your thoughts in a minute, but first here's Harry chatting to the leader of Reform UK.
It's very unusual for someone to give up 27 years of their life to campaign for something, and this was given to me on an unconditional basis, completely unconditional basis, but frankly, it was given as a reward for campaigning for Brexit for 27 years.
And it had no impact on your decision to come back into public life?
No.
But he who pays the piper picks the tune.
Hang on a second. I can't be bought by anybody.
Yeah? Look down that camera and say, I cannot be bought by anybody. Anyone.
No, not anybody. Not even Elon Musk.
You have a very loquacious style there. you look a bit like a William Rees-Mogg that time.
I don't know what, because normally when I do the show, and you've got someone in your ear saying, sit up, brush your hair,
they say it to me all the time.
Stop leaning, and I'm doing it now. And I didn't have anyone in my ear because we were on the road yesterday. We went over to Reform HQ to do it, and so I ended up sort of loosely lying across. It was a very sort of deep seat. So I was able to, and then
you're looking very lounge lizardy. But
exactly.
What about the substance of the actual conversation?
I mean, look, he's very bullish on this. He says, look, this has nothing to do with. This was a gift to me from a friend. It's a little bit awkward that subsequently Christopher Harborne's donated £12 million to the to reform. I said, look, even if it is a butt board, it looks very weird to your average punter, right? When was the last time someone gifted you 5 million quid? I said to him, my mates lent me 20 quid to go and get some pints. Like, you're not gonna, 5 million quid, it looks funny. He's determined that he's done it by the letter of law. He says he's got legal advice that he didn't have to declare it. I wonder whether, I wonder how sympathetic the Standards Commissioner of the House of Commons is going to be. I mean, these people, it's a bit of a lottery, and it turns to be that, some people, prominent figures, like Boris Johnson, for example, get the book thrown at them and others don't. So
My take on it would be this. The voters, the electorate knew about this gift before the election last Thursday.
They did.
And they voted for Nigel Farage in their droves.
Yeah, he made the point that he gets stopped in the street in Clacton in his seat, and then people say, good on you, who don't really care. And he said, I don't claim expenses. Like, well, yeah, but you've also made 2 million quid on the outside. And he said, people stop him in his constituency and they say, good on you, mate. And I have to say, look at what happened to Donald Trump. When they went after Donald Trump and, they threw the absolute book at him, everything, and they tried to jail him, they tried to make him stop being incapable of being president. Look at how popular Nigel Farage is in Clacton. If he just says, you know what, let's have a by-election.
Yeah.
And he wins it, he comes back stronger. So people
and he would win it.
He'd win it by a landslide. And so just people need to, his enemies need to be careful what they wish for, because they could end up being too clever by half.
By the way, Andy Burnham has just confirmed he will be running to be the next MP for Makerfield.
He's going to Makerfield... I'm trying to make America great again now. Makerfield great again.
Yeah. Makerfield great again.
Doesn't really work.
Make a feel great again.
There we go.
Harry, what a fantastic interview. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. I'm sorry I was late, but it is a rolling day of news.
Yeah, well, I better let you get back to your typewriter.
Yeah, I've got to go write. I've got to go write a spread about Nigel Farage.
I'll bet you
in page 8 and 9 of tomorrow's Sun.
Okay.
No, you never miss
Harry in the paper tomorrow, 8 and 9. Great interview with Nigel Farage. Nigel Farage, very bullish about this £5 million gift. I think he's Teflon on this. I think, those are going to hate him about it already do, and his supporters don't really care. Let me know what you think. What do you think about Nigel Farage's £5 million gift? It was ostensibly to pay for his security if he was to go back into politics. What do you think? 03444 991,000. Still waiting for somebody from Makerfield to call me. Same number. Thank you very much, Harry Cole. Back in a moment.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
This is Andy Burnham talking. I can confirm I will be requesting the permission of the NEC, that's the National Executive Council of the Labour Party, to stand in the Makerfield by-election. I grew up in this area and have lived here for 25 years. I care deeply about it and its people. I know they have been let down by national politics. Andy Burnham, plans to make Makerfield great again. If you're from Makerfield, how happy are you about this? Let's go to Graham, who is in the Makerfield area. Hi, Graham.
Hi, Kev. Afternoon, mate.
What do you feel about this? Makerfield, I think, is being taken for granted. You know, it's like, oh, you've all... Right, do what you're told. Vote for Andy Burnham because he needs to be your MP because he's going down to Westminster to be the Prime Minister. They are carving up democracy as if the people don't matter.
It is an absolute disgrace, honestly. You know, to take for granted the people that vote in this area and just think that we'll just roll over and do whatever the Parliamentary Labour Party wants them to do. You know, they think that they can, just because it's previously been a safe seat here, that they can just parachute in a chimpanzee in a suit with a rosette on it and we'll...
Yeah, that you'll always...
Absolutely not the case anymore.
Yeah, and I gather in the local elections last Thursday that Makerfield returned many Reform UK councillors. So Nigel Farage and his gang will be coming up there to campaign like there's no tomorrow.
And you know what? The majority of people here, from what I saw from the votes, you know, would welcome them with open arms. You know, they got... Reform up here got 24 of the 25 seats in this area that were for election in Wigan.
Really?
And the only one that Reform didn't get went to an independent. Labour got absolutely smashed up here. So how they think that they can just come in here and take everybody here for granted anymore, it is an insult to the people here. And I do sincerely hope that everybody here votes against Burnham when he comes up and that they vote for Reform in this area. You know, or at least somebody else and not him, so that he doesn't get in. Yeah. Just to give them a bloody nose and show that the
totally, Graham, totally. If I
will not be taken for granted anymore.
Absolutely, Graham. If I lived in Makerfield, even if I was a fervent Labour supporter, I know outside a bit of a strange concept, but if I was a fervent Labour supporter, I would not vote for Burnham because I don't like being told what to do. I don't like being taken for granted by an entitled man who thinks that it is his destiny to be the Prime Minister and he's going to get a few little people to help him on his path to glory. Well, I think if I know British people, they just will hate this. They will hate it. You hate it, right?
Absolutely. You're right, I'm incensed about it at the moment. This is why I phoned up. I think it's absolutely disgraceful. Treat the people in this area like this and just go, you know what, you'll just do as it's told and you'll roll over and just ratify what we've said is going to happen. That should not be the case, and I'd sincerely hope that the people in this area vote against that and that they take some sense and continue with how they voted previously in the local elections and go for a Reform candidate.
Well said, Graham, and I hope you do that. It's not that I'm not holding a candle for Reform UK, but I am holding a candle against this manipulation of democracy by these Labour louts. It's not right. Graham, fantastic call. We're going to take calls all the way to the top of the hour, so let's go to Caroline in London. Hi, Caroline.
Hi, Kevin. Wow. What can I say? Okay, what is the difference between what's going on now and communism? Because this government are doing everything they want. Sadiq Khan's doing what he wants, closing roads, building in car parks, God knows what, and Starmer's joining the EU, bringing digital ID. I could go on and on and on, but this is abhorrent.
Do you know what I say? I mean, I'm banging on about this, but you know, make Makerfield great again, and Andy Burnham being parachuted in. If I lived in Makerfield, even if I was a Labour supporter, I would say to Andy Burnham, I'd have a two-word statement for him, and the second word would be off. How dare he do this? How dare these people manipulate democracy as if it's their plaything to get this man into number 10 Downing Street? Sod them. you know?
But Kevin, we don't have democracy. We haven't for a long time. We've got to stop talking about democracy. We don't have a democracy here. We don't.
Well,
everything that
certainly we are being. This is not democracy we're seeing here now.
But what do we do as the people, of Britain? We can see every day. It's in our faces. They're not even hiding it. And the corruption and rain. I mean, Ed Miliband is going to close all the oil fields. I mean, we already.
You're like me. You can hardly get it all out. The frustration is just overwhelming, isn't it? My frustration with this government, with this idiot Ed Miliband, this Chancellor Angela Rayner, this opportunist Andy Burnham. They're all useless. They're all useless. And look at what Keir Starmer has done to this country. Look at what this government have done to this country. It's absolutely disgraceful. With you all the way, Caroline. Thank you very much for an excellent call. Got to go to break now, though. That's Caroline in London. When we come back, we'll stay in London and we'll talk to Georgina. But for now, we're going to break.
The offer to be the voice of a sheep.
Yes, you can only dream, really.
Kelly Riley and Cole Hauser. Well, how much of Rip does your husband in real life have about him?
I mean, yeah. I mean, he's mad.
He's Kirsty and Phil.
Can we talk about one other thing?
We can talk about loads of things. It's an interview.
Wake up, it's a beautiful morning.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. It's Psychodrama Day in Westminster. Andy Burnham is now running. He's going to make Makerfield great again. Josh Simons, the scandal hit MP for that constituency in the northwest, has stepped down or will step down to allow Burnham to sweep in there and allegedly win that seat so he can get back to Westminster and then kick Starmer out of number 10. However, the people of Makerfield may have other ideas. They voted almost universally for Reform UK councillors in last week's local elections. So will this Labour guy really get in? Only a majority of 5,399. I think Mr Burnham may be in for the very least a rocky ride, but maybe total humiliating failure. And frankly, carving up democracy like this, as if it's his plaything, he deserves to fail. He can go to hell as far as I'm concerned. It's a shocking, shocking way to behave. It's a shocking way for this entire party to behave. This is what we've decided. You've all got to do what you're told. We're going to put this man in. Now you vote for him and then we'll put him into number 10 down. How does that sound to you? Well, no. We're the people. It's democracy. Maybe we'll have other ideas. Maybe we'll thwart your little plans. Let's go to Georgina in London. Georgina, good to have you on the show. Well, what are you making of all this?
Well, I think that the Labour Party is on a political suicide mission. I've never seen anything like it. Yeah. I mean, the Labour Party has shown weakness, deceit, backstabbing, gaslighting, you name it, Kevin. They've shown it and they've thrown it at us. And what's happening now within this government will do irreparable damage to the Labour brand. Hardcore Labourites, and believe me, I've talked to some of them, are even sick and tired by these so-called adults in the room. What's happening now with the Labour
adults?
Party? Yeah. You know, what's happening now with this Labour Party? We've seen this before with the Conservative Party before them, and all this does is show weakness where there should be unity and strength, and there's none. You know, it's how on earth are the electorate going to trust a party with the running of our country when they can't even keep their own house in order? It beggars belief. Keir Starmer, I think, personally, he should stay where he is for the time being, because that's a surefire way that Labour is never voted into government again in a general election. Keir Starmer is the toxicity in the Labour brand, as well as being the instigator of division in our country. And as for these other candidates who are going to run against him in the leadership, they are as bad, if not worse, and far left than he is. And we could find ourselves in even hotter water and even deeper in debt than we are at the moment. All the Labour Party need to do is listen to the people. And
they don't do that, Georgina. That's exactly what they don't do. But did you hear those statistics I just told you? This Makerfield place in the northwest, where Andy Burnham expects to be sort of greeted like a long-lost hero. At the local elections last week, 23, I think it was, of their 24 local seats went to Reform UK. And there's only a 5,399 majority for the current Labour candidate, the scandal-hit Josh Simon. So that's a small majority, a big vote against Labour and for Reform UK last week. Andy Burnham has got a rocky old path ahead, hasn't he?
Well, Andy Burnham is going to get eviscerated, let me tell you. Honestly, seriously, I mean, they are not going to get that seat. Reform will get that seat. If I could find anyone who would take the bet, I would put a bet on her. I'm not a betting woman, but I would bet on that, let me tell you.
I don't think you get particularly good odds on it. I think it's a serious possibility. So if Andy Burnham, so you get the when they stand and they read the numbers and then he loses and then he has to walk off. So the music as he leaves the auditorium would be like those Carry On films. Wouldn't it be wah, 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 wah?
I'll tell you something. I'll make it my business to be at the vote.
Let's go. Let's go.
For Labour.
Yeah, I'll go there with you, Georgina. I can't wait. It'd be fantastic to witness. It'd be a Portillo moment, wouldn't it? Georgina, fantastic to talk to you. Give me a call tomorrow. I'm on air again, and we need to talk about whatever develops in the next 24 hours. As we now know, anything could happen. Let's talk tomorrow. Thank you, Georgina. Let's talk to Jill in Cornwall, another of our favourite callers. What are you making of all this, Jill?
Oh, gosh, I tell you what, it's really good to hear so many people from the rest of the country that think the same as, well, I do, and so many people I know that think the same. I mean, this party has done all they can to take away any form of democracy at all. We're not allowed to think anything that they tell us we can't think. We certainly can't say it.
Yeah, here's the deal, Jill. It's at the risk of repeating myself, you probably just heard this, but here's the mathematics. Makerfield, where Andy Burnham expects to be wafted into power, to be voted in as the MP, only has a current majority for the scandal-hit current Labour MP, Josh Simons, of 5,399. And at the local elections last week, something like all but one of the seats went to the Reform got 50% of the local election shares. So I would suggest Andy Burnham has got a rocky road ahead. Listen, Jill, I've got to go now because it's nearly the news, but it's good to hear from you. I hope you'll call me tomorrow as well, because much could happen between now and then. The brilliant Jill in Cornwall there. Let's go to break. Much still to come. Back in a mo.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
In a little while, we're joined by Matthew Talbot. He's a Labour veteran and a close friend of Andy Burnham. We'll get his take on what's going on there. He's a good guy. He always tells it like it is. So it'll be interesting to talk to Matthew. But for the next 15 minutes or so, let's join the brilliant broadcaster, historian and fellow at the New Culture Forum, Rafe Heydel-Mankoo, on this auspicious day. Welcome, Rafe.
Hi there, Kevin. Yes, what a day indeed.
It certainly is. Now, Nigel Farage has just posted this on Twitter, or X as it's now called. Unsurprisingly, he said, "We look forward to the Makerfield by-election. Reform will throw absolutely everything at it. Now, this is because, of course, Labour, who seem to think democracy is a sort of board game that they can carve up to their own advantage. They don't seem to care about the people. Oh, well, we've got a plan now. We've found a constituency. The people of Makerfield, now you vote for Andy Burnham because we need to get him down to Westminster and into number 10 forthwith. Well, Makerfield, the last MP, or the current MP, who's mired in scandal, by the way, Josh Simons, he's stepping aside. His majority is 5,399. That's pretty small. And at the locals, the local elections last Thursday, Reform UK scooped up more than 50% of the vote. They got nearly all the local council seats in the Makerfield area. The idea that Andy Burnham is going to waltz that is for the birds. He is in for a very tough time, and I would say Reform UK have got every chance of beating him. And because they're being so arrogant about democracy, because they're taking the good people of Makerfield for granted in the most disgusting way, I damn well hope that Reform UK kick Burnham's arse.
Yes, well, of course, this would be the most wonderful upset, wouldn't it? Because Andy Burnham right now seems to be the golden boy of the Labour Party members, the one that they're most in love with. And what a delicious dessert would it be for all of us if he gets skewered by Nigel and Reform in this by-election. That, of course, is assuming that Andy Burnham gets approved. I mean, it seems as if he's got a clear path now to try to get into Parliament. But we saw what happened last time at the Gorton and Denton by-election. He wanted to be the candidate for that. Keir Starmer, of course, being so paranoid and scared about his own future, didn't consider the benefits to the Labour Party, but was more concerned with saving his own skin, and then went himself to the NEC. What a miserable sight to see, the Prime Minister actually going himself to actually block Andy Burnham's candidacy there. The big question is, will he do that now? He's a severely weakened Prime Minister. People now seem to think he's putting himself before his party.
They think that? They think that? It's a fact.
If he tries to block Andy Burnham now, I think you're going to have all-out civil war. And I think the worst thing for Starmer will be to try to block Burnham, because I think a lot of the people who are supporting Starmer now would turn against him, because most people, I think that Andy Burnham is one of the last chances that the Labour Party has indeed. But the reality is there's only one seat in the country, Bootle. Bootle is the safest seat, or the second safest seat for the Labour Party. It's right within his manor of the Manchester area. That's the only place he could be guaranteed more or less of winning a seat. It's all up for grabs in Makerfield.
Yeah, he's certainly not guaranteed to win Makerfield. I suspect that Starmer will let the NEC approve Burnham this time, because I think Starmer, at the end of the day, does know that he's reached the end of the line. But what do you make of West Streeting today, who resigned but didn't mount an official challenge? That's because it turns out he doesn't have the requisite 81 MPs to support him. He's only got 44, apparently. Meanwhile, we've got old Ange Rayner saying she's been cleared by HMRC. In fact, Harry Cole was just pointing out to me, she hasn't been cleared. She was found guilty of dodging her stamp duty tax, but she has paid back the 40,000 quid that, according to HMRC, she tried to avoid. So she hasn't actually been cleared, but she doesn't seem to have factored into her little scheme that if she really does want to mount a challenge to Starmer, if she really does want to be Prime Minister, or even, and she definitely wants this, to be a part of the next cabinet, a senior cabinet minister, she's going to have to publish the HMRC's verdict on her shenanigans. I don't think she has factored that in. That might be an uncomfortable moment for her, but she's on manoeuvres. She fancies it. Ed Miliband fancies it. And there may even be, Shabana Mahmood might be interested, Bridget Phillipson, all of which adds up to what we're witnessing now. This country is not being governed. The people who are supposed to be governing this country are involved in internecine squabbles, and are delivering a disgraceful abrogation of their duty. This country is adrift at sea, while this government has become a paralysed, wounded animal incapable of governing. It's a disgrace.
Yes, and just remember, they took the moral high ground for so long, saying we are the party of adults and maturity. We will bring stability where the Tories had chaos. And it took the Tories over a decade to get into the position that the Labour Party finds itself in after not even 2 years. And they're mired in just the same sort of sordid, squalid sort of civil war, internecine fighting, as you say. And the Labour Party is so devoid of talent that of the 4 leading candidates to replace Starmer, they're all failures, right? Ed Miliband, we already tried him out, right? He's already been for a test ride, and he was a national humiliation. We remember the Ed Stone. We remember that damn ham sandwich he tried to eat. Nobody likes him. He's completely unsuitable. And Andy Burnham, the golden boy Andy Burnham, this is a man who twice
failed
and lost the leadership campaign. So the best that the Labour Party can give us to replace Starmer are failures. What a damning indictment. And then you have Wes Streeting. I don't know what Wes Streeting was thinking, because he does not have the voters of the Labour Party on side. He might be popular with some of the more right-wing people in the Labour Party, but all the polling shows that if in a head-to-head against Starmer, even as loathed as Starmer is, he would wallop Wes Streeting. We knew from Tuesday, actually, that he didn't have the numbers, because if he had the numbers on Tuesday, he would have...
he would have struck, yeah, you're right, he would have struck, yeah, and that's why he took so long to... But I think Harry Cole was just saying to me that he marched himself so far up the hill, there was no way back, and he had to resign even though he didn't have the numbers, and he probably now, with Andy Burnham on the way, never will get the numbers. So... Burnham looks to be the man they want to anoint, but once again, Rafe, you know, this is just a carve-up. This is using democracy as if it's something to be manipulated. Did we vote for any of this? You know, what about the people? What about the people of this country who are supposed to be the participants in democracy? What do these Labour louts think they're doing? This is a disgusting spectacle.
Of course, and look, people's trust in democracy has been worn so thin. I think we're at a very dangerous point, because they voted in Tory after Tory after Tory government, betrayal after betrayal after betrayal. They voted for Brexit. That was a betrayal. Now, once again, they see the incompetence, the ineptness, and the complete lack of a plan by the Labour Party that promised change, but had no idea how they were going to deliver any of that change. And the leadership of the Labour Party is just so lacking in talent, in charisma, in vision, in anything to give people hope. And this will be bad at any time. But now, when we face so many existential crises, the economy, the NHS, immigration, geopolitical instability, this is a time for a statesman to come forward. And in the past, we've been really lucky in this country. The old adage was, cometh the hour, cometh the man. And we had Thatcher in 79, we got Churchill in 1940. We're in an equally bad position now, I would say, probably worse than 1979. And there is nobody on the horizon who can step into the position now to save this country. That's what's so dire. And that's why it's so important, of course, at the next election we do get a strong right-wing government that can take those steps, because otherwise, you know, we are looking at the edge of the abyss right now.
I think you're right. I think you're right. The firmament is falling apart at the seams. Now, there is one woman of destiny who I'm afraid is the leader of the wrong party. So the Tories, I think, have become a one-woman band. But boy, oh boy, what a band. I mean, Kemi Badenoch is on fire. Now, I'm going to play you now. In fairness, I've got to admit this is a Tory party propaganda film, but it does sum up the way Kemi has just been magnificent, putting these Labour losers in their place. Watch this.
Why don't you just do your job? Do your job. There's no point in giving me dirty looks. We all know what he's been up to. No. Or they don't agree with this agenda, in which case, what on earth are we all doing here? Oh, I'm not done yet. There is plenty more coming. there were 24 U-turns in that first parliamentary session. Winter fuel, family farms, grooming gangs, welfare reforms, social media for under-16s, day one workers' rights, the list goes on. And every single one of these U-turns had at its core a single issue: the Prime Minister's total lack of judgment. This is a man who, faced with a crisis of vision, charisma, and electoral success, sent for Gordon Brown. Banned from pubs, banned from hairdressers, which is presumably why all the women on the front bench have the same hairstyle.
I love that final line, but you know, cometh the hour, cometh the woman. I'm afraid, sadly, you know, the Tory party is basically just her. But what a woman! Amazing.
Yeah, brilliant performance. Outshone Liz Truss and Theresa May at any point. Shades of the Iron Lady there, the humour, the wit, the cold, steely glare towards West Streeting, and the sight of that front bench. I mean, someone should make a painting of that, because it was absolutely glorious. You couldn't get sterner, more glum faces. And then Lady Nugent, Emily Thornberry, looking like Les Dawson in drag on the back bench on the bench there. It's just...
Yes, because she stood up, didn't she, in all her pomp, and she's not used to being dominated, old Emily. She said, this is inappropriate, and old Kemi Baynard said, sit down, I'm not done yet. Never has Thornberry been dominated like that. She looked shocked.
She looked like Sissy from Sissy and Ada. Exactly. It was a remarkable scene. Yeah. Hats off to Kemi Baynard. But unfortunately, as you were saying, there's no point having a great leader of a party that is so full of wits. And of course, today we just had out of Worcestershire the story that the Tory leader in Worcestershire Council did a coalition with the Green Party and the Lib Dems to take control away from the Reform Party of Worcestershire Council. So there you go.
Kemi suspended that person.
Kemi suspended them
immediately.
But it goes to show you the type of person that still has elected office within the Tory party. Yeah, this is why Jenrick left. This is why Braverman left.
Yeah, they're just a bunch of Lib Dems, and you know, the migrant crisis has been made worse by the Labour Party and the Labour government. No mean feat, but let's never forget the Conservatives caused it and allowed it to flourish. It's their fault, and that's why the electorate, I don't think we'll ever forgive them. Poor Kemi. She's the wrong woman. She's the right woman at the wrong time. Rafe, fantastic to talk to you. Come on again soon, because I suspect there's going to be lots to talk about in the days to come. That's the excellent Rafe Heydel-Mankoo, broadcaster, historian and fellow at the New Culture Forum. Next up, Matthew Torbett, Labour affiliate, a long-time Labour campaigner, friend of Andy Burnham, will be in the studio giving us his take on this extraordinary, amazing day. That next. Stick around.
Some breaking news this morning revealed that under the Terrorist Act, 242 people were arrested in the year to June of this year.
That's something you can indulge in as to all the people who aren't going to prison because, well, there's no prison spaces.
So this is a talk exclusive we've been looking at. I said, you take these cuffs off me and speak to me like a human being rather than a common criminal.
You're just left wondering, does these people who lead us actually hate Britain? Yeah. Do they not love our country and everything that we've stood for?
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. We've got the man of the moment in the studio, long-time Labour affiliate, Matthew Turbot, who's also a very good friend of Andy Burnham, also perhaps the man of the moment today. Well, listen, I want to ask you about some of the Westminster psychodrama a little later, Matthew, but let's deal with the breaking news up in the north that your friend Andy Burnham will indeed be bidding to make Makerfield great again and become their MP, replacing scandal hit Josh Simons, who's going to step down. Now, the thing is, there's a mathematical problem here, I would have thought, for Andy, and that is this, that Josh Simons only has a majority of 5,399. Makerfield is one of those constituencies that doesn't fit neatly into a council area, but the main council area is Wigan. Out of Wigan, at the local elections, out of the 25 seats, 23 went to Reform UK, and in that area generally more than 50% of the vote went to Reform UK. You won't be surprised to say, if you haven't seen it already, Nigel Farage has said on X or Twitter, we look forward to the Makerfield by-election. Reform will throw absolutely everything at it. And he's got his work cut out, hasn't he?
Yes, but I wouldn't have it any other way. It's a huge gamble. There's no mistaking that. I think he needs the credibility, though. If you're coming in, essentially, to be the next Prime Minister, let's call it right. We've never had this in this country. This is the closest you'll get to a presidential election, where one constituency is going to make probably the next Prime Minister. He could win Manchester Central with his eyes closed. He could go and win somewhere like Stockport. But what does that show? That you can win a Labour-safe seat? Yeah. You need to take on Reform locally to show you can win the country. If we're to trust you as the next Labour leader, if people are to think you're prime ministerial and you've got what it takes, I'm afraid it has to be a seat like that.
I hadn't thought of it. That's an interesting take. Now, have you spoken to him about the difficulty of Makerfield?
Yeah, for the last 12 months. we've shared lots of thoughts. Andy's, I believe, a good man. And it was always meant to be a seat like this.
So he specifically didn't want a very easy seat. Not that I think there are any of those.
No, and there isn't really. I mean, there's a difference at the minute, and people may quaff at it. There's no Labour safe seats. I do believe there are Andy Burnham safe seats. And I think if you look at Makerfield, you take the North West as a region where I think Andy would have to run, regardless of whereabouts. Keir Starmer's got an approval rating in the North West of -40. Andy Burnham has an approval rating of +20. So there is a difference in how Andy Burnham is viewed in the North West compared to people like Keir Starmer.
Now, with the NEC, the National Executive Committee of the Labour Party, they will allow him to stand this time, unlike at Gorton and Denton?
I think there's been discussions with NEC members. This has been thought through after last time. I think there's an idea that they can't really block him again because it looks petty and silly. I would say don't underestimate some people in the Labour Party whose factional differences with Andy Burnham, they want to give one last embarrassment before Keir Starmer's gone. I think there's a majority now looking at Andy Burnham, and we saw comments in the week leaked from an NEC meeting in which one of Keir Starmer's most devout allies on the NEC said, I think and on the right of the party, by the way, said, I think we need to start looking at Andy Burnham because this is terminal for the Labour Party. If that's the sort of person that's now thinking that, I think it is a clear path, it seems.
Yeah, I think what the Labour Party need, I mean, I'm not saying that Andy's political worldview is probably up my street, but he does speak human. And it would be nice to have a Prime Minister who can identify with ordinary people, because we don't have one at the moment.
No, I agree, and I think that's where the trust comes from for lots of people. We saw polling at the weekend where he cuts across all political persuasions. I think if there was a question put to people of different parties, how likely would you be to vote Labour at the next election if Andy Burnham was leader? And you had 35% of Green voters, but you also had 19% of Reform voters. So you got 1 in 5 Reform voters currently going, I'd probably give him a go, actually. Yeah, why not? He seems all right to me. So I think that's the benefit.
There's a Sky News are reporting that there may be a Labour plan as Andy quits being Mayor of Manchester to parachute in as a candidate in the resultant election. The former Man United star turned TV football pundit Gary Neville. Have you heard that?
I read it very briefly this afternoon and didn't know whether it was quite right. I'm unsure. I'm also unsure about how it would play in Manchester. Tribal loyalty do exist.
City fans wouldn't vote
I'm
for
being
him.
genuine, Kev. Some people will not vote for him because they're Manchester City fans. But at the same time, I suppose we had a Scouser as Great Manchester Mayor, still currently is. So there's an aspect of that that people might like. My concern with Gary Neville, who I've had very pleasant dealings with in the past, and he's again, I think he does speak human. I think he had made a bit of a faux pas with the old flag thing recently, but I think he cuts across quite well and understands what it's like to be working class to an extent. Maybe not now, but he's got so many businesses. There's got to be a load of conflict of interest there, and how he handles that, or if there's any truth in it, I don't know. I do think if you're going to beat the Greens or Reform, because I think the Greens and Labour will have votes with each other and Reform could slip through in Manchester potentially, it's got to be a big name to follow Andy Burnham. So Neville would fit that mould.
But will Manchester be difficult? Is there a possibility that with Andy quitting, Labour could lose Manchester?
Possibly. This is what I hear, and yet, you know, I struggle to believe it because I see the popularity of Andy Burnham. I suppose if you take him out of that, conceivably people are really peed off with the Labour Party. They're fed up. They might want to give it a bit of a kicking. There are surrounding areas of Manchester, Great Manchester, that still do all right for Labour, and if they can peel off enough of those, possibly. If it's a by-election as well, though, you tend to get lower turnouts, and that's where people can sneak through. So I think it'd be tough, because I do think there's a lot of people talking up Reform, maybe rightfully so. I do think there's aspects of certainly Great Manchester student population where the Greens, who traditionally come second in Manchester, could pose just as much of a threat.
Fascinating stuff. Now, listen, earlier, warning Southerner at large, but I was mispronouncing Makerfield, calling it Macclesfield.
Oh, no.
I was calling for people from Macclesfield to call in. We've got calls from Macclesfield.
Oh, no.
So, now I've got the pronunciation right, though. We did get a call from Graham. I think we can play a bit of that in a minute, but this is representative of some of the sentiments we're getting. Can we play... this is what Graham from Makerfield said this.
It is an absolute disgrace, honestly. You know, to take for granted the people that vote in this area just think that we'll just roll over and do whatever the Parliamentary Labour Party wants them to do. They think that they can, just because it's previously been a safe seat here, that they can just parachute in a chimpanzee in a suit with a rosette on it and we'll... So how they think that they can just come in here and take everybody here for granted anymore, it is an insult to the people here, and I do sincerely hope that everybody here votes against Burnham when he comes up.
Now, that is representative of a lot of views I've been getting from people all over the country, but particularly in that area. What they don't like is this perception, or that democracy is being carved up like a plaything for Labour to instigate all of their plans. They don't like being taken for granted. One of the things that Andy Burnham is going to have to persuade the people of Makerfield is that they're not being taken for granted, because at the moment it looks like they are, to be honest with you.
No, and I think that I said weeks ago that would be a challenge. You've got to ensure that people know that you're not just using it as a parachute. I think the benefit is it's an area Andy's lived in for the last 30 years, therefore he's got skin in the game to an extent. And it's an area he's represented, albeit within Greater Manchester, an area he's represented for over 10 years now. So it's not that he wouldn't care about it, I suppose. Would he care more if he was in Aintree, where he's from or whatever? I don't know. We can split hairs all the more. And don't get me wrong, I spent the 6 weeks of the last general election in Makerfield. I stayed there, actually. Amazing people. Big Reform presence then, because Nigel came out quite late, but I could see the difference, and I thought this is a seat that may go at some point, particularly next time round. And he's not the Messiah. He doesn't walk on water. I'm a big advocate, Kev, but I'm aware of the flaws as well. But he's up against it. He's got to prove that point, and I hope he does.
Well, let's come back to Westminster and the psychodrama we've been witnessing unfold over the past few days, but especially today, of course. West Streeting, Harry Cole from The Sun was in earlier. He said the thing about at West Streeting is he walked so far up the hill he couldn't go back again. So he's had to resign. And I immediately said, well, this... And then when he didn't actually launch or announce an official challenge to Starmer's leadership, I said, well, he hasn't got the numbers, and it's now emerged he's got 44 as opposed to the requisite 81. What will become of him? I mean, he's basically ballsed it, hasn't he?
Yeah, my reading of it, I was unfortunately on air somewhere else as it happened, which is always a bit, Christ, what do we think of this? My initial reading, which I haven't really changed my mind on, is he clearly didn't have the numbers, and that appears to be coming out now. I think he had to do something today because people were getting frustrated with him, and if he didn't do something,
yes, exactly,
next week support would peel off and they'd go, he's wasted it, he's a bluster. I think he used it to buy time. I think my reading of his letter, certainly towards the end, about having the widest debate possible, is there is some level of deal he's willing to make with Andy Burnham. He knows... Wes is not a thick politician, right? He knows that if Andy Burnham is not on that ballot, or he doesn't defeat Andy Burnham, which is unlikely with the membership,
it would be labelled invalid. Yeah.
Well, not just that, the shadow of Andy Burnham and the spectre of him would hang over him the same way it has. Same way it has done Keir Starmer. So West Streeting, I think, may not even stand if Andy Burnham gets in, and there will be an agreement. I said last night, and I floated it as an idea privately, and I've tried to now put it publicly. I think Andy Burnham, if all goes well for him, would do worse than having West Streeting as a Chancellor. I think that stops any Labour civil war. Wes is a bright individual with different talents, and I think he's prepared to be unpopular when you look at the way he's dealt with
insofar as I have to choose, I quite like that idea. What about Angela Rayner? Will Andy find a place for her? I mean, I was saying, by the way, this incredibly convenient day to announce that she says she's been cleared by HMRC. She hasn't. She's paid her debt, and therefore potentially that problem is over. I'm not sure she's factored in the fact that if she's become a cabinet minister, or even maybe she has ambitions to be prime minister, she's going to have to publish HMRC's verdict on her, isn't she?
Yeah, Angela, I imagine Andy will find a place. They've been close for a while. People think Angela is really far left. They forget she endorsed Andy Burnham in 2015. She's not a Corbynite. She's sort of that soft left rump, as it's called. I was told 3 or 4 weeks ago now that Angela was due to be cleared, and her solicitors had made that clear. She paid the money months ago and was preparing for this. The thing I thought was interesting about the announcement is she doesn't want the job, she doesn't want to run. I saw it as a Wes might resign, I'm going to now announce this because he's got to think about whether to... Because I think it's a play to make Wes go, oh, if she runs, I'm not going to win. What do I do? She's in the clear now. And I saw it as a bit of a political move to buy more time again. And again, I might be wrong, and I'm a cynic at the best of times, Kev, but that's how I read it, because she doesn't want the job. She doesn't want the job.
And where does Ed Miliband fit into all this? If Andy... I mean, I'm feeling that the direction of travel as far as Labour are concerned is they want Burnham, that Burnham is the man with a head of steam behind him, but I think he will struggle in Makerfield. That's a different issue. But suppose Andy does get the gig, where would Ed Miliband fit in all of that? Backbenches? Go on, do us a favour.
I hear the rumours that he reportedly wants to be an element of a kingmaker. I don't think Andy needs a kingmaker, and that he wants to be Chancellor. I don't think the markets would approve, and again, I think I honestly would think about putting somebody like Wes there. I honestly think Eddie's happy doing what he's doing, which may not be much.
Nobody else is happy with him doing what he's doing.
He's always been energy focused, and I mean, I had a text.
I agree with that. He's you know,
it's his bag, right? And if he loses his seat in Doncaster, he'll go off into the climate world and do that. So, if I was Andy, and he doesn't need my advice really, but I'd probably just leave Ed as he is.
Quick word about, great to have you in the studio, by the way, Matthew. Thanks for coming in. A quick word about Starmer himself. Starmer, as a Prime Minister, has been a disaster. He has laid Labour low. Labour looks like a party, a government that has let the people down. We don't even feel governed at all at the moment. It is really hard to underestimate what a shambles and a disaster this guy Starmer has been. Labour picked the wrong man, didn't they?
I voted for Lisa Nandy. I thought she understood, being in a Leave voting constituency, why we were so roundly beaten in 2019 and how we should have respected the result. And I tried to make the point at the time. Keir Starmer has never had great political judgment. If you go right back to the opposition days where the media would talk about how forensic he is and he would devour these bills overnight and spit them back at Theresa May and whatever else, he wanted a second referendum. What judgment is that? The people resoundingly didn't want that, as we saw in 2019. I think, and I said it at the time on this station and others, the winter fuel, I said at the time, I feel like this will be terminal, and it still comes up on the doorstep today.
You're totally right. Wes Streeting's resignation letter, his 900 words plus, is excoriating, and so was Angela Rayner on TV this morning with her interview to ITV. So a lot of people making it clear that he has not been a success, to say the least. What's the time frame now then? So obviously they'll have to allow Burnham to fight Makerfield. How long will that take? Then let's give him the benefit of the doubt. I think it's a big benefit, but let's say he wins Makerfield, he's in Parliament. When will this leadership battle finish? When will whoever wins be our next Prime Minister? How long before that happens?
It's up to me, Kev. It'd be as quick as possible, but I don't have that power. What you'll have is, if Josh Simons has officially resigned today and made the Speaker aware, next week applications will likely open for the seat to be applied to be a candidate. That will likely be around a week, so we're talking next Sunday. That'll close. Andy Burnham will no doubt...
By the way, no question of the NEC standing in his way this time, no?
That's the assumption. I don't take assumptions. We'll have to wait and see. I think Andy has worked hard to ensure the NEC is on side with him this time. But ultimately, if Keir Starmer wants to block him, that's up to him. So that'll take a week. It's then up to the Labour whips to move the writ in Parliament, and after that you'll have a 4-week time frame for the by-election. Once he's in, it depends. Number 10 have the cards, in a sense. It's up to Keir Starmer when he goes. If he chooses to go, I think it would be best for everybody, not just the Labour Party, Kev, because the point here is over 9.5 million people trusted the Labour Party at the last election, and they're the ones that are suffering. I can talk about Labour all day. It's not important, the Labour Party, it's the people. And for the benefit of the people of this country, he should form an orderly transition. If Wes Streeting wants to stand, we might have another 4 to 6 weeks of leadership elections. So we're then looking at what? August, September. Maybe we'll have an announcement at conference and there's a big celebration there, who knows.
I suggested yesterday to the audience and the switchboard went on fire. I said, I'll tell you what, I'm getting out of all this. I've got to emigrate to Antarctica. And all these other people said, I'm going to go to Diego Garcia. Another one said, I'm going to emigrate to Alcatraz because I think I'll have more freedom there. Let's hope this is over soon, although as a journalist I'm quite enjoying this, the spectator sport. Matthew, fantastic. That is the brilliant Matthew Torbett, former Labour advisor, close ally of Andy Burnham. I guess you'll get a nice big job if he becomes Prime Minister, won't you?
People have said this, Kev. Do you want me to be absolutely truthful? I think there are better people than me out there. If Andy wanted me to help, I'd obviously be flattered. I think there are better people, and I like doing what I'm doing. That's true. And not many people in politics do something for nothing. I just want him in because I think it'd benefit the country. I don't want anything.
Matthew, Great to have you in the studio. Let's keep in touch because there's going to be lots to talk about in the next few days. Matthew Talbot, former Labour advisor. Let's go straight to break. We'll take a few calls when we come back. After that, I'm going to talk to Kinsey Schofield in Los Angeles about Prince Harry has written this extraordinary article in the New Statesman, raging against the evils and horrors of anti-Semitism. We're all with him there, but he doesn't mention Hamas. Seems to say that there will always be Jewish attacks or attacks on Jewish people as long as Israel behaves the way it does in Gaza. He's not quite getting the message, I'm afraid. We'll talk about that next. By the way, the King, of course, went down to see the people of Golders Green today. So all of that in a little while. But your calls next. 0344 499 1000. You know what we're talking about. See you in a minute.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. A couple of texts before we go to the phones. This is from Amanda. She said, "Hi, Kev. The Labour fiasco is like a bad dream. Little West Streeting is like a Starmer mini-me. He even sounds like him. Just give him a pair of specs. And hey presto, there you have it." He would, of course, require the spectacles to be free, like Keir Starmer. Peter in Bromley says, Labour are destroying the country. I think we all agree with that. And John in Long Lawford is saying what I was just saying. Don't get this. Angela Rayner has not been cleared. She's settled her debt. She has not been exonerated. John says this. Rayner has not been exonerated if she has paid the £40,000 to the HMRC. She would only be exonerated if she didn't have to pay it. She should also be paying interest and hopefully a fine on top of the 40k. Like the rest of us would have to. That's my feeling. I mean, I've got some experience of having problems with the HMRC, and basically they won't prosecute as long as you pay them what they think you owe them, which is also usually a lot more than you think you owe them. But if you give them the money, they just go away. That's what's happened here. So let's not get carried. She has not been cleared. she has settled her debt and the problem, we assume, is over. But she's going to have to publish the details. You can't just say this. All we know now is she claims she has been cleared. Well, show us the evidence. Angela, hey, show us the evidence. We're going to have to if you want to be a cabinet minister. Let's talk to Elizabeth in Chorley. Hi, Elizabeth.
Hiya.
What would you like to say?
I'd like to say that Kemi Badenoch and Mel Stride need to join Reform.
Mel Stride?
Yeah.
Well...
Shadow Chancellor.
Yeah. Do you think he's that great?
Yeah, I think he's okay. I think he's got a lot more about him than Rachel Reeves.
That's a given. But Kemi Badenoch, though, I mean, she's not going to join Reform, is she?
No, she isn't, but I'll tell you what, I've got a lot of respect for her, and I'm not a Tory voter. Well, I used to be, but I'm not anymore.
Are you Reform UK now, Elizabeth?
Yes, I am.
I agree. Look, Kemi Badenoch obviously is not going to join Reform UK.
No.
But she has been spectacular, hasn't she, over the past week or so? Absolutely amazing.
I think Nigel Farage, he could be the Prime Minister, but I don't think Nigel Farage is actually wanting to be a Prime Minister.
Oh, I think he is.
I don't think he is. I think he wants to be the power behind the...
No, he wants to be. He wants to be the number one man.
Well,
what in everything you see? What makes you say that? What makes you think that? Nothing about Keir Starmer. Nothing about Nigel Farage looks to me as if he wants to be a backroom boy. He wants to be the guy on TV. He wants to be the big cheese.
Well, until 2024, he weren't even going to stand.
Yeah. Well, then he changed his mind. He doesn't want to be a backroom. Elizabeth, he does not want to be a backroom. I know Nigel Farage. He does not want to be a backroom.
Well, he
boy.
might be the power behind the throne.
He doesn't want to do that. He wants to be Prime Minister. That's 100%.
Well, I think he needs to actually get into the Tories who are Tories, and there's not a lot of them about.
Well, he's nicked half of them, hasn't he? You know, Danny Kruger, Robert Jenrick.
He needs to get Kemi Badenoch on side.
Well, that's a nice fantasy, but it's not going to happen, is it?
Yes, all right, but it might be nice.
It would be nice. You're right. It would be nice. Let's
need fantasies in these.
Yeah, you can dream, Elizabeth. You can dream. Yeah. Listen, I've got to move on. Very good call, though. Thank you very much. Call me again, Elizabeth in Chorley. There. So, listen, we're going to go to break now, and when we come back, we're going to talk to Kinsey Schofield. She's going to comment about Prince Harry, who's written this kind of weird article in the New Statesman magazine, raging against the evils and horrors of anti-Semitism. With him there, but he doesn't mention Hamas. Seems to think that attacks on Jews are inevitable as long as Israel carries on in Gaza. You know, he's not quite getting the memo, and it's a really badly written article, as has been said. Critics have said it's a bit like a kind of subpar school essay. So you can tell he wrote it himself. We'll talk about that next. Stay tuned.
breaking news this morning revealed that under the Terrorist Act, 242 people were arrested in the year to June of this year.
That's something you can indulge in as to all the people who aren't going to prison because, well, there's no prison spaces.
This is a talk exclusive we've been looking at. I said, you take these cuffs off me and speak to me like a human being rather than a common criminal.
You're just left wondering, does these people who lead us actually hate Britain? Yeah. Do they not love our country and everything that we've stood for?
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Breaking news. The Times is reporting, and Zach Polanski is not denying, it seems to be confirming, that he didn't vote in the local elections. He said that he'd send in a postal vote. There's no record of it. The Times reporting another lie by Zach Polanski. That, I think, is 5 in a week. 5 major lies in about 7 days. He's got to go. He's a charlatan who's a stranger to the truth. He can't lead a major political party. He really can't. It's just an actor playing a part. It's a joke. Liar, liar, pants on bloody fire. Right, let's go over now to the host of Kinsey Schofield Unfiltered, the great Kinsey Schofield. Hi, Kins.
Hi, Kev. You guys are pretty busy over there.
Yeah, it's a hell of a day, but I wanted to squeeze this in because it's important. Well, in a little while, I'll play you some footage. We've got the King visited Golders Green, near where I live, actually, today to visit the Jewish community there. That's where these two stabbings, these anti-Semitic stabbings, happened a few weeks ago. So that was a good show of support by the King. He moved among the people there, if you're looking, very easily, which is more than the Prime Minister did when he visited. He never spoke to a single person in the streets. He just moved in a limo, went into a locked room and then left. So here's to His Majesty for this fine gesture. Meanwhile, his runaway son, Prince Harry, has written an extraordinary article in the New Statesman magazine here. That's a sort of left-wing intellectual magazine, far too intellectual, I'm afraid, for Prince Harry. Yeah, so he's written this article railing and raging against the horrors and the evils of anti-Semitism. He doesn't mention Hamas, he doesn't mention October the 7th, and sort of implies that, well, you know, as long as Israel is still, you know, causing problems in Gaza, there's bound to be attacks on Jewish people. He didn't really get the memo at all. And while you and I, or many more of us, might write an article like this, or we might express these sentiments, anti-Semitic sentiments, we wouldn't have to say, oh yeah, and by the way, sorry I dressed up as a Nazi that time. He says he's learnt from his mistakes. Why doesn't he wind his neck in? By the way, Gideon Falter, the chief executive of the Campaign Against Anti-Semitism, he actually said this today to Julia Hartley-Brewer. He said, very nice of the New Statesman to treat its readers to the wisdom of Prince Harry. He said, but this very strange article, he says, it comes across like a sort of low-grade school essay. So I was thinking he didn't write it himself, but I've read it. He wrote it himself. He can't write. He's semi-literate. It's terrible.
Oh my gosh, where to begin with this? I mean, he doesn't even really, he's never really taken accountability for the Nazi costume. And if you look in Spare, if you flip through the pages of Spare, when we're not dodging Frozen Todger references, 14 to be exact, he blames the Prince and Princess of Wales for his Nazi costume. So, you know, he's never taken accountability for that. I've had some people be like, well, I agree with the sentiment. I don't agree with the sentiment. In my opinion, mass illegal immigration from regions where anti-Semitism is more culturally normalized has absolutely contributed to the rising anti-Semitism in the UK. Pair that with failed integration policies, online radicalization, you've created a very volatile environment. You know, every time I turn on the TV, there is a protest in London where people are, when King Charles yesterday was going to Parliament, people angrily
Oh man, we
yelling.
kept playing that video. It was absolutely shocking. The king was assailed by a mad, howling bunch of anti-Semitic maniacs.
Yeah, from the river to the sea. And this is Keir Starmer's government, the same government that, according to Richard Eden of the Daily Mail, reportedly helped shape Prince Harry's Ukraine speech. Would they help shape an article like this? That's my suggestion, because Israel is not perfect, but you cannot blame Israel for retaliating after October 7th.
Yeah, but Kinsey, Harry does in his article.
I know, that's insane. And Harry is not a geopolitical expert.
He's
a
moron,
celebrity.
Is what he is.
He is a celebrity who spent, pages after page, 14 different references to his frozen willy in Spare. If he wants to talk to us about Elizabeth Arden cream, I'm all ears. But these global complex issues, global tensions, he is completely out of his depth.
He is. He should never have written this article. It's a really juvenile article, like a low-grade school essay, as Gideon Falter said. Listen, I've got to play you this. This is the King visiting Golders Green. It's only about a mile from where I live. So here he is today. Samara Gill, our reporter, went down to take a look at what was going on.
So, Barry, what does it mean to you that the King would come to Golders Green?
It means a lot. It means everything. Like, for people like me, the King represents the country. So although we're getting it from all sides, and the feeling is that we're being under attack, but we still have hope that the King and the institutions are with us in these difficult times. So it gives us a lot of hope.
What does the King's support mean to you?
So obviously you see from the big crowd here that the Jewish community really appreciates the royal family, and the Jewish community being a minority of 0.05% in this country, we appreciate support from any politician, whoever it may be. I mean, obviously the Jewish community do have their views, in politics, the way they feel about the country being run currently. We're not happy at all with the Labour government. We think there are serious issues that need to be tackled. But we do appreciate the support from the King. The Jewish community in the whole does love the wider royal family, and we're very proud of it.
Well, so the King doing the right thing, and really appreciated by the Jewish community of Golders Green in North London there. Meanwhile, basically, Harry is writing that, well, this is all Israel's fault and what it's doing in Gaza, pro-Palestine and all that. It's Israel's fault. That's why Jews are getting attacked. He really should not have written this.
It's when you ask Harry's team how often he talks to his father, I mean, they won't answer with the truth, which is never. The King does not take Harry's phone calls. I mean, that's just well known. But what they try to say to avoid having to admit that is, no, well, we communicate regularly about our diaries. We communicate regularly to ensure that we don't interrupt anything that's in motion, which you and I know is a blatant lie based on, in my opinion, lawyers make me say that, based on past patterns. Harry and Meghan are always pouncing and trying to distract from the important work that the British royal family is doing. And to interrupt this visit, this important, and it's such a meaningful and delicate visit by the King today, with this garbage.
It is garbage.
Uneducated garbage. Is the ultimate sign of disrespect to me.
That's what it is, Kinsey. It is uneducated garbage. He writes like an 8-year-old. It's pathetic. It's pathetic, and he's got it all wrong. Kinsey, I've got to go now, but have a great weekend.